Grandpa?
Come on, my dears, we better go. Don't overdo it, will you, my boy?
Right, Grandpa.
You might exhaust yourself.
That is terrible.
What's going on, everybody? Sorry, I'm trying to figure things out. It's your boy. No, not really. Oh, what up, Stone? Made it.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Just barely, but yeah, I made it.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I was
I found a fun background for us. I was like, all right,
I like it.
We do it on a stream. Streaming on the stream.
All right.
So what's going on with Pesci in the chat? Let's see. It says, Jacob, can I share this channel? This is my backup channel. Yeah, you can. Yeah, share whatever you'd like.
Copy.
Let me see if I can.
I got it.
I was gonna try to give you a wrench, really quick.
There's the link.
There you go. What's that? That's it. That's the channel?
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry. No, I was looking at Pesci. I guess Pesci's got something going on with YouTube, and that's his backup channel, and he had something going on. Wasn't sure what was going on with it. But yeah, so I've done a lot of work on this rock. Because
I can't wait to see it when it's
Stone,
done.
yeah, the girlfriend's making fun of me, but he was the one I actually asked about it, about what to do and like how to slowly get it to that process. But I feel like I'm doing the longest way possible. Doing it by hand with those stones is a pain in the butt.
Yeah, the hardest part's holding stone still.
No, the weird part is that you listen to Rock Lobster the whole time.
I don't listen to Rock Lobster while I do it. But no, I have the big stone that I have. It's probably, I don't know, 8 pounds. It's easy to
That 8
it's easy to move. That is. Hold this thing. All right, no,
You'd be amazed how much
probably like
rock
5
is
pounds.
weighing.
It's probably like 5 pounds.
It's maybe 3 pounds.
Oh,
Softy MC. What happened? I'm so confused.
That's all right. It's Gonzo.
Yeah, he's hard to follow anyway. Much less when I'm not confused. How you been?
Doing the rocks and the way you're doing them, it's a pain. I've done some that way because sometimes the bigger rocks, that's all you can do.
Well, I'm trying to get a good method of like just being able to casually just sit there and do it without thinking about it.
Right.
Because certain positions you can really overexert yourself. I'm starting to realize it just because it's so repetitive.
Yeah. Well, my carpal tunnel's so bad that just running the angle grinder kills me.
I wish I was running the angle grinder. I wish I could buy all the bits I was looking at. There were just I was looking at $50 a bit just to I don't know, for a plate. I mean,
Right.
for each I would have had to buy, I don't know, 10 plates or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I sent you that link, that Amazon link. You get all of them for like $25.
Yeah, I'm impatient. I went to Lowe's and saw what they had in stock, and I was like, all right,
sandpaper.
Oh no, I didn't get any sandpaper. Well, I figure I could do finer stuff when I got like closer to the finer end. But in the beginning, I want to like I feel like a stone against a stone can't be that bad.
No, you definitely want the harder stone during the work, but
yeah, I can tell I don't know. I can tell I'm making it softer, but I don't know if it's going as flat as I wanted to. But I'm rounding corners that were too sharp.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Those corners.
I've done it with sandpaper. Just set the sandpaper on the table and just sit there. Oh, it'll kill you for days.
Yeah, I feel
but
like
you can still get a pretty nice finish right up to the time to buff it. You know, when you actually do the final stage, which is the polish, and your polish can go up to 150,000 grit. I do not do that.
I feel like what's what's the grit of it, like a human finger? You know what I mean?
3,000 grit won't even carve my finger.
No,
because believe me, I've hit that bugger enough times. I know it'll polish a fingernail pretty good.
Well, because that's what I was wondering with like those car buffers and stuff. It's wild.
I have a 7-inch buffer wheel that runs on it has a wool blanket on it, and I use what do you call it? An oxide on there. I can't remember what it's called. I can never remember the names. I got all my polishes laid out, or my grits laid out in a row on a rack. So for me, it's easy to keep track. Put this one back, grab the next one in the row.
I mean, yeah, as long as you're keeping them in the right order, it'd be.
Oh, I write on the back with a Sharpie too.
Smell like poopy?
That would drive me nuts. We just had sprinkles. Sprinkle-sized hail. No, we didn't get any hail. We just got a bunch of rain so far.
Yeah, just rain.
I don't know, probably about 2-3 inches of rain.
That's not too bad.
No, it's been
You
going
you
for a
guys
while.
get that all the time.
No, it's not too bad. That's I mean, most of the time, today it's either deciding if it wants to be snow or if it wants to be rain because it's kind of at the border temperature.
Oh, those are the worst times to go camping. You should head out.
Yeah, right. Do not want to go camping right now.
No, I'm gonna be gross.
We were actually just talking about it, and then the weather turned because we were talking about kayaking and camping.
So it's all our fault.
Yeah, we shouldn't have sparked the interest.
Right.
But no, I don't know what I got myself into with this rock. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to find a plate at least for the next levels. Like once I get, because I want to get some of the big knobs out of it. There's a few knobs that I've worked out. Like I don't know. I just want everything to be smoothed over. That way I'm not. I feel like it'll be a lot more time consuming when I get to the other steps because I don't know. I feel like this is gonna take me a week just to do 90. Like,
Well, you got to get all the prior scratches. You got to get everything, all that out at that low grade.
Yeah,
And
and
as
it's
you
got
go up,
a
you're
few
just doing the
grooves
same
that,
thing over and over and over.
and it's only got a few grooves that it's just hard to get into, and I got to eventually work those out so it just slides into those, and I'm able to go to the next levels without worrying about it.
Oh,
But
what's horrible is I have to use
The
one of
uncut
these
other piece.
to
that?
see the scratches in between on my stuff.
Oh
It's just
yeah,
a
no way.
Headset.
You gotta really focus on it.
Yeah, I mean, the more of the scratches you get out early on, and you're taking the time between the grits, it makes a difference in the very end. Because you'll get a mirror finish. Let me grab one and I'll show you.
Okay.
This is a Jasper. I don't know if the
Oh, okay.
camera's...
It's got a nice face. What's the finish on that right now?
This is 3,000.
Okay.
And this is just a cut edge. So you can kind of really see the difference in the light.
And it doesn't chip off when you're working at it on what, like at what point do you not have to worry about chips?
I never worry about them. If they chip, they chip. But if it, chips out of your piece, like I got that big old crack in here, that was hard.
Yeah.
Because it is a crack in there.
I was gonna say, because I got a couple of those where you can see into the quartz a little bit. Nice.
And the same thing, 3,000 grit done with an angle grinder, and the unfinished side. So you can really see the difference in it. I don't know if you can actually see through this one or not. I've never looked. Let's see. I keep my light handy.
I'm gonna turn my camera on in a second. I'm rinsing this off. I want to show because
it's too thick.
I haven't actually. I want to keep progress with how I'm doing on this thing. All right. So.
But that rock I do have thinner slices of that I haven't done anything with yet.
That's so thin. Wow.
Yeah.
It's wild that you can see the light through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. When I'll cut this down to make necklaces and rings out of, this was a 15-pound rock when I started. But Jasper was a 35-pound rock.
So this is the, I don't know if I can, see if I can do these cameras better. I don't know what angles we got on. But this is the one, this is the uncut one that I originally found.
Right.
Is the other half of it. So this is what it looks like before anything done to it. And then,
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And so I got something to compare it to. This is the one I've been working on the right here. Oh, my right.
You're gonna try cutting the other one with your saw?
Yeah, I do, but there's a spot on it, which I don't know if you can tell from here, but there's this crazy groove in it, and I want to
off. Yeah.
I want to cut on a good spot where I can do something with this. This is like two of them meshed together here, and I want to get maybe a cut at an angle there, and then do two faces.
Yeah, like the hardest part's just going to be holding the rock.
But yeah, I'm getting a lot of little holes inside of them, and even these ones are opening up quite a bit. But it's getting really, like, you can see the shimmer from it. It's really flat now. I've gotten it pretty worked down where it's soft, but there's still some cracks I got to get into. It's got a really weird face.
Yeah, it's slow going. I mean, even these two, I did them separately. The flat one was easy. I just put rocks around it so it couldn't slide around.
But yeah, I have this two-sided stone that's supposedly 90 on one side and 60 on the other.
Okay.
And I believe this top part's 60. But I just guessed. It wasn't really labeled.
Yeah, I
assumed. What's that?
I use diamond for cutting in shape and all. I use up to 3,000 grid in diamand. And then,
that's what I'm saying. I feel like I could be doing this. That's what I was saying. I feel like I could be doing this much faster. But I feel like I picked the long process. But it only cost me, I've only probably spent $3 on it, which is cool. No, could be much worse. And then I also have, I think I have up to 120, but I've just been focused on 90 for the last, I don't know, week.
Last two sore arms.
Yeah, that day I messaged you. I've been focused on working on this one.
Cool. It's all fun and games. I mean, in the end, the rock does what it wants either way.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I want. I wanted to keep its like natural look a little bit, and I want to be able to work the smoothness into that.
Well, with this big chunk of carnelian, I thought about doing that on these edges. Kind of the same thing.
Oh, yeah, that looks so nice because you can actually just work it naturally and.
Yeah, just kind of give it a little more sheen. But I'm not sure what I'm doing with this yet. I polished it up so I knew what it looked like polished, which is pretty darn nice. And that's a good 8 pounds right there. Just that one piece. Most of my rock.
Yeah, no, I like having a big chunk. I don't want to have, because I got a bunch of little ones, but I kind of want to tumble those.
Yeah.
And my uncle's got a tumbler, and I've been waiting to kind of ask him, like, hey, I got some rocks I've collected all over the different states when I went on that last trip, and I didn't label any of them, but I kind of just want to see which ones end up coming out and being nice. I gotta figure out what they all are probably to tumble them, otherwise they're just gonna fall apart.
Well, when you tumble, you want rocks of the same hardness. That's the biggest thing about tumbling.
Or you just gotta do one at a time. Like, I don't know what type of grit or whatever to put inside of them.
Well, there's usually with a tumbler there's four grits. I do 7 because I use a cerium oxide on the very final one, which is a very fine grit. That's what I use to polish most of my rocks too.
Does it take longer? Do you run longer cycles, or how does it work?
No. Your first cycle can be your longest because you're breaking off all the rough edges, you're smoothing everything out, and sometimes you pull them out, clean them, put them back in with the same first grit, do it again for a week.
Yeah, I want to get one.
But
I had one when I was a little kid.
Been, making cabochons for rings and necklaces for the wife to make. She's doing the silversmithing now.
Yeah, I had just a little stock one when I was a little kid, probably, but it lasted me a while when I was younger.
Yeah, mine just died last month. My tumbler.
I feel like the motors or whatever on them are probably easy to replace.
It wasn't the motor wore out. It was the pulleys. The pulleys. I've been mending them for the last year. And the actual container you tumble in finally gave up the ghost. And I'm like, fine, grab that thing, threw it in the garbage. I'll get another one. I'll probably go to Harbor Freight and get one of their cheapies or something.
There you go. I have a beef with Harbor Freight.
Lots of people do.
They were mean. They were just kind of mean at the store with my parents. There's this huge generator that they were buying, so they were spending a shit ton of money there, and they thought that the generator ended up not working when they got it back, and you had to put oil and put gas in it in order to start it up and get it to work. And they needed my dad to tip it over at the end of it in order to bring it back, and he had to get all of the oil out. And you're talking a 200+ pound generator, and I didn't think my 65-year-old dad needed to be like shaking that thing upside down trying to get the oil out of it just to take it back there. I'm like, I don't care what the policy is. That's just wild.
Yeah.
You don't have old people flipping over, big weights, or tell him how to take it apart and just take off the oil chamber or whatever so he can
drain it.
Yeah. I was over there trying to help him. I'm like, I don't really know what you guys want me to do. But yeah, they were a pain in the butt about it. I'm like, is this what you do to keep a sale? I was like, he's probably going to buy another generator if you weren't going to make a stink about it. Like,
yeah.
He wanted a generator that works is all he was complaining about.
Right. That's what everybody wants, is it to work.
Right. And I think they ended up ordering a silent one online. I guess there's new ones that are just quiet, I guess. So
yeah, some of the Honda coming out are just pretty close to quiet.
Those are expensive. I can't imagine why. Like, I don't know.
I'll go spend $150 for a small generator before I'll spend $1,000 on a small generator.
Yeah.
So what if it's noisy? I have a big one in my motor home, but
the only crazy good investments I've seen are those little heaters that people are using for the water heaters, the induction ones. It's just like endless hot water.
Yeah,
seems to be the way to go as long as you get a water source.
A lot of people use those for camping.
Oh yeah, my parents use it. They've been using it for a few years. They said, and I've never had to. I don't ever use their shower because they got public showers up there, so I just go use the public ones. But if I ever had to use it, I guess it's good to know. If it was mine and I was living in it or something like that, then I would. But I don't know. There's something about using somebody else's trailer bathroom. You just try to avoid it. It's kind of just like guy code.
Right.
I feel like it's the last thing you want to do on a hot July summer is go use up somebody's bathroom or something, and then they don't get a pump out or whatever else. Then they end up with stinky trailer for a hot summer day.
I have portables. I actually have 2 portable shower tents with toilets.
Oh, okay. So you just hang the water up and let it get warm? What are you talking about?
It's a black bag. You set it in the sun. Take a quick shower.
Oh, okay.
It's, gravity fed and all. You just turn it on, get wet, do your soap, turn it on, get clean. But yeah, I have 2 of those. One's a bathroom, one's a shower.
Gonzo, if someone was a 24-pack into their day, I would say they should be probably doing audio only. Maybe laying down or something. I don't know.
That'd be a rough day.
24-pack Gosh. I don't know. That's a little rough. By 7,
start
I mean,
like 6 a.m. Take a couple naps during the day.
for Gonzo it's 7:30. I'm like, how did somebody how'd somebody make that happen? I'd be relaxing.
Or assed out.
Yeah, I'd probably already be passed out. I can't imagine having that many beers in a day.
Oh, I've been fishing before. I know exactly how to do that.
I've never brought a 24-pack fishing. Like, never needed that many. I'd be bored of fishing by then. I'm like, we got to get back.
Back, it's nap time.
Right. And just bring a bottle. It's easier. It's lighter to carry. Who wants to carry all that extra water?
I find that safe for all my camping, you know, unless I got, you know, I'm doing car camping, then I'll grab a 30-pack, throw it in the Jeep. But it's usually I got a bottle in my pocket.
Ones that weren't weightlifters, Gonzo. You just carry a bottle or a flask. I don't know. The alcoholics I knew were old school. But there was always that dad that loved beer. Actually, I bet my great grandpa was like that. He had to stop drinking because and that was back when they had like the tin can beers.
Right.
I remember throwing away tin cans that were like under his old house that were like stuffed into the walls.
Oh, those
old
things are so bad for you.
Oh, the old tin that they used to serve everything in?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not good for you. The micro metals.
At least these aluminum cans are lined, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because if you think about it, I was thinking about this the other day, is all of the cans are made by the exact same company. So it's like, it's pretty much all made by the Ball company, the one that used to do jars. The Ball, they probably still do jars. But it's just weird that one company is responsible for making, I don't know, probably 90% of everything that we drink from. Like,
yeah,
it's a lot of responsibility.
I just like now that you can get whiskey in plastic bottles. God, it was such a pain to always have that glass bottle, carry it in, carry it out.
That can't be good either. You know, if you think about it, the higher the content of alcohol, I wonder if it's corrosive at a certain.
I've never tested how long they last.
Cheap plastic bottle. I wonder if you start putting like Everclear or something like that in the cheaper plastic stuff, or if it would.
I don't even know if you can get that in plastic. I've never tried.
No, I don't think they make small servings of it. I don't know. I've never actually seen shooters of Everclear.
No, I've never looked either.
I've seen Everclear in small little like fifths, but like behind the shelf, I've seen that before. But just like visually, I've just never seen. I've never looked for it ever, but just visually, it's never popped out at me when I was looking at other shooters before or anything like that.
I like pints, half pints. They fit in my back pocket.
Oh, okay. I like the wallet size, little flat ones. Those are fun.
Yeah. Great for a hike.
Yeah. I feel like that's a custom design, just for that purpose.
I mean, the half pint fits right in my flannel pocket on the shirt. Yeah, it was obviously designed to fit in there, even though the pockets were designed for a pack of cigarettes. You know.
So I'm saying Levi and the bottling company were working together.
Yeah, that's why, you know, like I drink Black Velvet, you know that. The back side of the bottle's got a slight curve to match your butt cheek.
Or it could be your chest pocket, so it's got to have a little curve up there.
Yeah, that's true.
Just any pocket.
More comfortable. But I like the fact that we can get it in glass now, and I'm not carrying, or in plastic now, and I'm not carrying glass out in the woods.
Finish a can and fill it back up.
Only do that when you got a keg.
Right.
Oh, you wouldn't believe how far we've hiked kegs out into the woods too.
My grandpa collected cans back in the day, and I can't drink Monster because it smells like stale old style. Yeah, I could see that.
I can see that too.
Oh, you know what the worst one to smell is? They actually have an Uber. It's called Uber Brew or something like that they make. I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was designed off of Oktoberfest or what, but it's a non-alcoholic like brew that Monster made, and I guarantee that's way worse. Can't remember what it's called though. It's a
My
funny.
kid drinks Monsters. I couldn't get past the smell of one of those things.
Let's see if I can find it.
Of course, the kids, they drink all kinds of weird stuff.
Oh yeah, this stuff just looks like alcohol. Hold on, let me see if I can pull this out. This is so gross. I tried one time because they had these resealable cans. I think that's why I tried it, because I wanted to try kayaking with a can that I could reseal. Just seemed super easy.
I actually have a cap that fits right on the can with a screw top. I don't use it very often, but
So they almost look like beer cans. The beers do, and then they're called Monster Brew, and they also sell them in 17 ounces or whatever. But yeah, I think they brew them like you do a beer, but they actually have to put non-alcoholic on it because it looks
like a
but
beer.
yeah, and it's called Uber Monster. It's a weird one, but I bet that smells way worse than a regular Monster, if I had to guess.
I'm not going to find out.
No one's gonna buy one and try it out, so it doesn't hurt to tell them about it.
Right.
I'm actually drinking an energy drink right now. I just got a case of energy drinks for $5.
That's not bad.
No, not at all. But I probably shouldn't be having one right now. I don't know. I didn't feel like drinking, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna relax tonight and have an energy drink, play some video games, and
Cool.
I don't know, relax a little bit. Oh, been so sore. I've been digging way too many holes lately. I had to dig a 3.5-foot hole the other day, and then the hole started filling up with water because everything's pretty much draining in the area that we were working at, and I went through probably about 1.5 feet of pea gravel, and then the rest was clay. And I like digging holes like that. I think it's fun. That's pretty much why they hire me, is because I enjoy doing it. I don't complain like the other people do. I just enjoy doing it. But yeah, I ended up making a waterfall in it because I had to do a trench off the side of the hole. So instead of just knocking it into the hole, I was like, all right, I'll just do a long trench. And then the trench filled up with water and just ran into the hole. And once the hole filled up with water, I didn't feel like draining any more of it. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna call it a day. I built a 3-foot hole with about 1.5 feet drain going off the side of it, so that the plumbers could do their job.
That
But I
works.
think they had to bury a sump pump well. So you had to do 3 of them at the lowest points of the basement, and they're like 3 foot around and about 3.5 foot deep.
I've had to do that under a house.
I wouldn't want to have to do it after the house is already there. We're
It's
just going
fun
into the
crawling
basement.
through all that muck and nasty, and then you're under there digging this hole so you can put in the sump pump.
Are you talking about that space like that most
Crawl
people have
space.
between their house and the
our
deck, like that crawl under space?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, like a farmhouse.
Yeah, you can't use a regular
be designed
shovel
like
under
that.
there. You got to use a trench and shovel.
Yeah, you have to, because you don't have enough space. It's almost easier to dig though, depending on how wide you're going. I like trenching shovels a lot more, because I use my I have a sharpened edging shovel that I use for most of my digging when I'm going through clay, because somebody else was using the what's it called? We have an automatic shovel that's just on the end of I don't know what you'd call it. I don't know, like some kind of power gun, but it's got a shovel bit at the end of it, and it's great for digging. And somebody else was using that, so I did it by hand. I basically dug a huge hole by hand that would have taken anybody else probably.
I was working doing a development, and one side of the development, all these houses were filling up inside, right? I finally convinced the contractor, let me dig a ditch under the foundation and put a pipe in to drain these things, because it was getting ridiculous having to insert all these sump pumps on these things. Yeah, and finally I put in that pipe and boom, drained them all good, kept them drained.
Yeah. No, I gave that area a break. It was like right outside Chicago. It's kind of where I'm doing most of the work, and yeah, everything's just, I don't know, draining right now. So it's just not a good time to be over there digging holes. I'm like, let's just wait till some of this weather passes. Like I said, we just got a bunch of rain today.
No, I've done so
unless
many,
I got somebody there with a sump pump going.
Put the sump pump in the hole. You got a big old backhoe hole, and you're digging down. You hit water. Throw the sump pump in it. Hope it drains fast enough you can do your connection and fill your hole back in.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the other thing. It's like you're working below where they would pour the floor. So, if you're working below where they're pouring the floor, everything above it is like gravel or pea gravel or something like that. So, yeah, if you pump it out, you're just kind of timing it right where you can dig a little bit more before the hole fills back up. Yeah. You're just beating.
I remember this one
how
place,
fast it seeps back
was
in.
Sand, literally sand, and we're 6 feet down to make a sewer connection for this house.
Oh, sand is the worst. Just falls in next to you. There's like, no structural integrity.
Digging. And the hole's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. I had one new build that was like that, and just the whole basement was just pea gravel all the way down 4 foot. So there was no angles or anything like that. We weren't cutting straight lines. It was just about the width of our bodies, all the way down. trying to throw gravel out without it coming in and collapsing on you. It's the worst. You almost want clay once you get to, a certain depth, just so you got a little bit of structure.
Clay is easy to work with. You cut it whatever shape you want.
Yeah, just cut it out in sections.
Great for digging like a waterline ditch or something like that, irrigation ditches. Clay is great because they don't fall in as easy.
True.
Pea gravel, it's sand, pea gravel, they're both horrible.
Yeah, that's what we do with those power shovels. With those power shovels, we just cut out big squares of it and, knock it down as you're going.
Yeah.
You can go. It makes the job so much easier. Then you get perfectly square walls, but you get rid of all of the clay and spoils basically that you get out, and you keep all the gravel all for backfill. So, yeah, it's a pain. You got to separate everything. Can't mix anything up. Silly stuff, but I get why everybody does it. It's good. It's good money. I see the purpose of it all.
I only dig for rocks anymore.
Oh, that's where I've been finding all these. It's cool the crazy rocks I'll find under buildings. I feel like they'd never be unearthed otherwise. It's like, oh yeah, there's a whole what's it called? Like a strip mall on top of these rocks that I'm pulling up right now, and I'm like, oh yeah, the next time these are going to be exposed is probably going to be in 80 to 100 years.
Yeah.
Unless something weird happens.
Yeah, it burns down or somebody tears it out. You wouldn't believe, because I've rebuilt a lot of houses that had burned down. And first thing we do before we even start doing anything is go out and look for rocks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've got some really nice ones from doing that, too. Which I should find those tomorrow, hopefully.
From being in so many moved houses and just like stuff like that, I've seen like old farmhouses that were buried, like that somebody tried to move It was the old house that was on the property before. Like I found wild things in the ground once you're pulling up a lot of like, gosh, so much. I've done so much landscaping where it's just like you find so many things and it's like traceable where I could see where they got part of this from a different side of the property and they brought it over to here. It's like, why is there red brick over here buried?
The fun
like
part
3
for
feet
me
down.
on that doing that is finding their old dump
Yeah.
and finding the old bottles. Man, that's crazy. Well, there's a lot of guys out there that'll go to where there used to be an old tavern outhouse, and they'll dig that up because everybody threw everything in the toilet. Simple as that. Well, they call it toilet, but in the hole.
Yeah, and then they buried it and moved on.
Yeah, moved the hole over.
No, I found I was cutting a patio for my parents and found a well in the backyard. All of a sudden I'm digging and I'm like, holy crap, like it's like sinking in. I was about to drive I had like a, what's it called? Like a dingo
Yeah.
that I was driving. And cutting the ground out. And yeah, sure enough, it just started sinking. I'm like, I guess we're not going to be able to do a nice patio here. I had to start backfilling the whole well. It was deep. I never knew. Well, the house was really old. I just didn't know how that worked, where the well was and why it was there or anything else. It was just cool to see. It's wild the things you'll find.
I've never ran across a well yet. I've had people show me they found wells in their barn. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
And I thought, like on a farm, it makes a lot more sense. This is kind of, well, I mean, it's in town, but it's probably a 120-year-old house or property. And it was my great grandpa's property, and he had it for years. And then my parents bought it, and then they just sold it recently. But it's such a weird property where we just kept finding stuff. Like the crawl spaces went under the backyard a little bit. Like they really kind of went out far. Like somebody made additions and did other stuff to it. It's weird. The front crawl space, it had 3 different crawl spaces, and one of them went under the backyard, one of them went into the side yard, and then one of them went under the sidewalk, the city sidewalk, that was facing the road. So they just went out kind of far. And I was like, why would somebody?
An old courthouse in Olympia, Washington, where we're kind of an old courthouse, remodeling the whole thing, not really updating it, but refreshing all the stuff to new. And man, the stuff we're finding in the walls, under the floorboards, it was just nuts.
What was it, like old papers and stuff, or what?
The walls were full of paper. That's how they used to insulate the walls, with newspaper.
Yeah.
And we found old newspapers and stuff like that. Started going under the floors. Well, there were bottles, there were old cans, crazy stuff.
That's how you can judge.
I kept from that job were all the nails.
That's usually how I can judge how far back the house is from. Like, and I'm really picky. Like, I was telling somebody this story recently because I've done so many demos and just like different style of houses. But yeah, the papers, you're usually talking like 60s, 70s built. And then when you start getting into like hair, that's like, you're talking like 40s, 30s, 50s.
Yeah, horsehair.
I used to get horsehair insulation every once in a while. And then I always would be super prepared for the bathrooms because a lot of people don't realize when they used to make the medicine cabinets, they had that spot in the back for your razor. So if you're demoing
razor blades everywhere.
Yeah, if you're demoing a bathroom and it's an older house, at least 70s prior, it's probably got a slot in the back of the thing where it's just going in between the
where they put the old razor blades.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know that. You just go in there with a sledgehammer and start banging stuff out, and you're going to probably stumble across a fucking pocket of old, rusty razor blades.
Yeah, we tore up an old 1920s house and updated it with sheetrock and insulation, stuff like that. We found a bottle of whiskey in the wall.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
Yeah, it was a good day. We didn't get much work done, but it was a good day.
Did you guys try it? Was it
Oh
unopened
yeah,
or what was
we
it?
drank the dang thing. It was like, wow, this is
Was it
aged.
Was it unopened or what was it?
Yeah, it was a brand new bottle. Right next to it was a level, an old fashioned wood level, and a old fashioned hammer. Like the guy just plain forgot and covered it with the wood, the plaster. It was, what plaster, wooden plaster.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were tearing it out. And it's like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. Heck yeah, we popped the top. We probably shouldn't have. We probably should have sold the damn thing. I
No,
did
that's
sell
awesome.
the level, and one of the other guys sold the hammer. But I kept that level on the shelf in my shop for 20 years.
I have a couple of old hand tools, but I use them. But they're probably not much older.
Oh, this
than
level was
60s
still
or 70s.
perfect. There was nothing
That's
wrong with it.
wild. I say that's the hardest thing is keeping a level perfect
Well,
for that many
cleaning
years.
the brass, because the old levels had brass trim on them.
Oh, did
Cleaning
they?
that up, cleaning the bubbles and stuff like that. It took me a while to clean that level up. And when I was done, like I said, I hung it on a nail in my shop.
Well,
And
yeah,
when
and making
we sold the
like
house, I had to sell my level. So
the conditions had to be good so that the moisture wasn't messed up inside the bubbles. That's usually what happens too. The moisture gets all messed up and those bubbles go bad. Or
yeah, whoever built the house did a really good job because we didn't have to replace the exterior siding. We just
nice.
wanted to get the plaster off the walls on the inside and put sheetrock on. Yeah, we found all kinds of stuff in there, old crushed cans. It's like they put one row on and then shove it full of whatever they had, basically.
Oh yeah. Well, and anything would work. I mean, it's weird. Like the plaster was such a weight. I hate taking down plaster, fucking lats and all that shit because it's just everywhere. It's just such a mess. And yeah, they would just stuff all kinds of shit in the wall. But yeah, a lot of time you get paper. I love looking at old papers and stuff that you'd get out. Used to look at old dates and what towns they'd come from and stuff like that.
I found papers from China in one house.
It's just wild that they thought that would be a good idea.
This is pretty cool. So we'd take it, put it all in a box, flatten it up best we could, put it in a box, and sell it to a collector.
I just never understood that was like logically a smart idea. Yeah, we're just gonna put this burnable, combustible paper and stuff it into our walls.
People still use paper as insulation for their bodies, for their homes.
It doesn't make sense to put it in the walls of your home.
No, I don't agree with that one at all. Especially if they got electrical wiring in that wall too.
or yeah, the electrical
wiring. That old electrical wiring. Oh boy, that was always fun.
Yeah, because I used to. I've had two houses where I had to replace plugs, and those are the weirdest things to replace. And I don't understand why those were ever a thing. Plugs in the walls, where they had to. They were basically all just fuses, and you just pop them from one floor to the other, and most of the time they sparked whenever you fired them up.
They weren't good wires. A light switch, the old-fashioned light switches. Oh my God, how did that not catch fire?
And it's all just braided with horsehair and
and asbestos and
oh gosh, yeah, it's interesting what the old folks lived through.
Well, we live a little longer now than they did back then.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That part makes a lot of sense.
That just comes with stories of guys rebuilding our Capitol building in Olympia, Washington. I've heard stories, the horror stories of what they found redoing the electrical. Just the old light bulbs were scary.
Oh, I bet.
Because you could break the glass on a light bulb, it's still going to work.
It depends. Well,
break the element.
It depends on the light bulb.
If you break that carbon filament, it won't work anymore.
Yeah, for the old ones with that little wire. Is that what you're talking about? Well, I was trying to understand that because there's like I can't remember the firehouse or whatever that has like the light bulb that burned for like 120 years or something like that. And we've never had light bulbs do stuff like they used to do back in the day. We used to build stuff more efficiently, but they probably just wasn't as safe. Like I
I
feel like
can't
it
argue with
worked.
that.
It probably worked good. Like even silly things like that's what they used to always make jokes about was like the wood burning kits. It's like when they had that little solderer and stuff. That thing with the cord on it was probably only 2 feet, and it's just like, why did they always have you right next to the outlet
The
with
outlet,
that
why are you
thing?
using fire?
And odds are the outlet's right next to the drapes, and you're probably just sitting right next to the drapes
Think about it right now.
with your wood burning kid as a
My
little
wood
kid.
burner's right here, and I think it's only got like a 3-foot cord. But
Oh,
I've
yeah, and
always
then if you
used an
think
extension cord to get it where I want it.
And then you think about those fake trees that were in everybody's house. I just remember all the promos I used to see when I was a little kid about parents burning on their houses with fake trees that start on fire in like a half a second, and then the whole house is engulfed
Yeah.
because they make them out of the most flammable stuff imaginable.
Yeah, if you get them, I mean, I've had enough of them that I know nowadays we make them with LEDs, much safer.
Mom's house has old gas pipes for electric. What does that even mean?
They ran the electrical through gas pipes, which is
Oh,
absolutely dangerous as all get out. Your
well, no,
wire,
not if they just ran it. I mean, if the gas is off in there, it's not
oh,
bad. If
I
it
wouldn't
they're
do it
just
with
using it
gas
like
on,
conduit.
but wires, as you run electricity through them, move.
Yeah.
And especially the older they are, the more they move.
But yeah, if they're just using the gas pipes like conduit, though, should
No,
be
it's
fine.
great.
It's way better. It's
As long as
it's
it
just
doesn't
it's
rub
just
in an
impossible
elbow
to
or something and ignite. But it's
yeah, it's
inside
just
the pipe
impossible
when
to
it
bend.
ignites, though.
Yeah, my
Nowadays, all it
upstairs
does is blow a breaker.
neighbor is an electrician. I would hate having to bend all the angles and stuff for conduit, but I like the idea that if you're good at it, you can run most electric like from the top down. You don't actually have to do much. You can just
Right.
push it all through if you're good at it. Because well, I mean, I work with people that do a lot of new builds, not going in and trying to fix old stuff anymore. I did that when I was younger.
Even doing the commercial buildings when I was doing all that, everything's in conduit, but it's
Yeah,
a aluminum conduit.
yeah.
It's easier to build or bend, I should say. I've never done it. I've watched enough of it.
Well, the ones I think they use are like an aluminum or a nickel alloy. They're not just aluminum because otherwise all the guys would be saving them. They throw them out. Like all the cut off pieces, they don't seem to save them or anything. So I'm assuming it's not straight aluminum.
Probably stainless then.
But yeah, something cheaper.
Yeah.
The house is super old and has some kind of setup before modern electricity.
Also,
Yeah,
probably
it's
had
probably
gas lighting before electrical lighting, and they use the gas lines as the wiring.
oh yeah, we had an old oil tank like that in my parents' house that they had in the basement.
Dug up so many of those old oil tanks. It's horrible.
Well, it's just like you can't get them out of the house without cutting them out of
You got to cut a
the.
hole.
Yeah, I'm like, did they just seal this in when they put the house, or how do they?
Most of the time when we ran into the situation, we convinced the owners to let us fill it with concrete,
Why?
so we didn't have to remove the tank.
Oh, I would just, I don't know. I would just convince
If
them
they
to
were
leave it.
outside, no big deal. Dig them up, pull them out. But when they're under the house, like a lot of people did,
Oh yeah, ours was butted up right up against the crawl space, and it was huge.
fill it up with something.
It's about the size of a small bathroom.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
All right. I know out here, since I've been in this location, they put in new fiber optics, and they came through working all the gas lines, water lines, all that electrical, everything, because everything's in ground down here.
Yeah.
And yeah, they come through our lot marking the gas line across. They were never even close to it.
Were they changing out the lines or something? Is that why they
Now
marked
putting
them
in
off?
brand new fiber optics for a cable.
Oh, well, I don't understand the fiber optic. Most of the people that run fiber optics, they don't bury them deep enough. Fiber optics are so temporary.
Yeah.
Such a silly thing.
They're running that big old 2-inch conduit to run them through.
Well, it's just it's glass. I don't understand why we do it. I feel like it's faster, but at the same time, it's so fragile. Like we had to think of better ways to, because thin fiber optics don't seem to work. I don't know how big ones work. If they're more
It's
efficient.
still fiber optics either way. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't make a sharp turn without losing power.
Yeah. And then if you get any kind of bend in the system, it seems to like crack, and then it's shot.
And then you got to pull the whole freaking wire out and drag
Yeah,
it in.
because there's no repair. Yeah, there's no repairing fiber optics to replace the whole line.
Yeah, I don't understand it, but they do it. Simple as that, they do it. But I imagine they run as straight as possible, put in a junction box, that kind of thing.
Well, because I remember when
anytime you do a junction, it slows your connection.
When I saw like documentaries on when fiber optics kind of came out, and on the conspiracy side, everybody kind of said, "Oh, this was reversed alien technology that they got from Roswell." They were talking about fiber optics. I can't remember what the other ones were, GPS, and a couple other things, because they all kind of came out. And if you look at like the leap in technology that we had,
we know exactly when that was.
It was kind of a big boom area for us, like with technology, and some of the companies that worked with the space station, that worked with NASA, were doing a lot of big things at the time and releasing like what was the mattresses that we were releasing, like memory foam and stuff like that.
Memory foam,
like,
yeah.
That made sense that it was for astronauts. Like that part like made sense to me. Or like when they released like Tang or something like that, they used to give it to, like that kind of stuff makes sense. But some of the other stuff that they just like found fiber optics, and and GPS might have actually been used by the military long before, because if you think about how many satellites are in the sky, I bet the GPS was used by the military a long time ago.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
Exactly, Tang. It was created by NASA, wasn't it?
Yeah,
thought it was.
Yeah,
I bet there's a
very good
website.
Drink for the astronauts. Of course, now they eat way better and drink way better. I remember the old Tang commercials.
Scratch-resistant lenses. They're also responsible for that. Hold on, they got a short list here of things that NASA gave us. I didn't realize how much they claimed to pay, because a lot of people were like, "Oh, they brought back rocks," and a lot of them we don't have anymore.
Velcro.
a lot of the moon ones. Oh yeah, Velcro. I feel like that one's not a leap either. That one's not rocket science.
It's a technology we've been using ever since we got it.
Oh yeah. Shout out to all the kids that are too lazy to tie their shoes.
We got cinch straps for shoes now.
What did I just click? Oops.
I mean, the jump just to get to a rubber band, and now we have this stupid, crazy elastic cordage. So I don't know why that's in a knot. But there we go.
Yeah, the number one is memory foam, scratch-resistant lenses, camera phones, cordless vacuums, emergency blankets, infrared ear thermometers. And then they got a list of the space exploration missions. There's a few good ones on there. They don't have Tang on there.
That was the biggest
was-
one.
I thought it was.
They were so happy with themselves when they produced that product.
Oh yeah. It was a kick in the glass. I used to love those commercials when I was a little kid because I felt like I was saying naughty words. That's how they used to advertise it.
Right.
They had an orangutan, and they used to call it a kick in a glass. And now in a pouch.
I
And that pouch was
remember
way before
asking
the
my
rest of the
parents
neighborhood.
for it after seeing the commercials, you know.
Yeah.
I
Well,
want to try
I think
it. It's not
the
that
fact that-
good, though.
the fact that astronauts had it was the same with probably freeze-dried food and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I don't know. The first
Well,
time
we-
somebody tried
You know,
like
some
military
cultures have been
rations.
freeze drying for a long time. Most dehydrate or dry.
Well, I feel like the first time you tried military rations or something like that, like that's kind of what you think of when you think of NASA food. You know,
Mhm.
you're just thinking of something that's going to last a long time. And I assume NASA food would be similar. But it'd be
Now
cool
we
to
can go
try
to
it, I guess.
Walmart and buy the same thing they're eating up there in space.
Yeah. Now they got them all in survival kits.
Which they're not. Those survival kits aren't cheap.
No.
Don't
Not if
get
you
me
get,
wrong.
like,
My
a 30-day.
freeze-dried meals are not cheap either.
If you get like a 30-day or more one, you're looking at least $100
Yeah.
minimum. That's
They
with
make
deals and
the
stuff.
3-day kit is like $75 per person. I know if I
3-day
go out for
kit.
3 days, it's going to cost me $40 for 3 meals. You know.
I was gonna say there's one that's sponsored by Crowder by Steven Crowder. It's three meals a day for like 20. I think it's like 28 days, something like that. And it's like 28 days or a month. And yeah, you can get pre-portioned ones where it's supposed to be able to last you. I mean, if you portioned it out right, it would last you 30 days.
And depending on what
I
I'm
think
doing,
there's
I'm a one a day, except for the drinks.
Oh yeah, you'd have to find running water, whatever you were doing.
Water is the big one. I mean, you think about how much water they have to have up on their space station every time they go take somebody up there. Oh, you're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
be here. You're gonna be here for 6 months. And I know they have recycling programs built into their station, but still, you have to bring up water.
Oh yeah, and I
Water is
think
not light.
the recycling systems, they try to use that only in case of emergency, I would assume, or to show somebody how it works.
Well, the
Like-
same with the air recycling too. How much oxygen do they got to take up every time?
Oxygen's a little different. I feel like they can't store. I mean, you're talking about storing explosives.
Yeah.
Like that's a different case. Like oxygen, you kind of want to recycle as much as possible. You want to have efficient systems for recycling,
They're doing pretty good on it.
but the idea of actually like recycling your urine all the time and getting the water back, that's kind of a waste of a system if you don't have to use it. You could just bring out some water. I feel like you can save some extra storage for that, or just not bring up as many people.
Yeah. I mean, rationing is a definite thing, I'm sure, for them.
Exactly. I think powdered beverages and space travel were probably intertwined in development. It's possible. I feel like everybody was trying to find the more efficient way to pack and everything like that, and also military kits. Yeah, just made
Well, we
sense.
had
They just wanted something light.
military packs for long before we started space exploration.
Yeah.
I mean, when we've started exploring space, I wonder how many cans of Spam they went through.
Probably a lot. They were probably had the military actually making it and buying it in whole, so it was the military spam or something like that.
Could be. I mean, NASA is a military-based function.
What was I gonna look up? When were can openers? When were can openers invented?
That one right here.
What, a can opener? Oh yeah.
Anything with a blade will cut a can open. Well, you could rub it on a rock if you want to do that, but
variation, because the early versions were basically variations of a knife. It was invented in 1855.
sounds about right.
But the can was invented before that. So it would have been funny to see how people were doing it in the beginning, just stabbing into it, I assume, with a knife.
Well, cut it open. I've seen a lot of cans, old cans, that's exactly what it was. You can tell. I've cut enough cans open with a knife, I know. But I carry a can opener on my keychain.
Yeah, cans were invented in 1810. So for 40 years, they didn't have
A true can openers. And look at the fancy ones we got now. You just press the button, it opens your can.
Like, I was just thinking about that when we were talking about spam and military kits, because they were probably getting a lot of canned shit, and they would have had to keep a sharp knife on them so they could cut into it and actually, use it.
Actually, cutting into it would sharpen your knife.
Oh, would it? The tin?
Yeah, the old tin.
Really, it would
These
dull it.
cheap ones we got now don't do it. They dull your knife, but
Yeah.
in the old days, that used to sharpen your knife. Just like if you're ever at the beach, just keep running your knife through the sand, it'll sharpen it.
Oh, I was actually thinking about using my stone for that as well. Thinking I wonder what toughness I need for sharpening my blade.
I use a puck.
Yeah. What
I have no idea.
you don't
Pretty
know what
smooth.
it is? It's pretty smooth.
Because usually all I have to do is hone my blade. And I have a diamond stick for cleaning up afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Damn, sun's getting me good now. There,
I see you.
the right spot. There
Spot
we
of
go.
glare. Yeah.
It won't last long.
No, you're fine. No worries.
Now, I use the stone on my bigger knives, but my smaller ones I use the diamond stick on. Because all you're doing is
sharpener.
when you use a knife, it kind of bends the edge out like this. All you want to do is put it back.
Oh, okay. I actually hack into my knife a little bit. Sometimes I get dings in it where I actually got to polish those out. But most of the time I'll use my wheel for that. I have a wheel that I can iron that off with.
Yeah. I just keep using my knife sharpen around the nicks. Because heck, my K-bar, I use it for digging up rocks too.
Yeah.
So it gets its share of nicks. And I just sharpen it back up. It will work as a tool, which most of the time it's just cutting wood or digging rocks.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to order
My
one of those
pocket
big.
knife, my little pocket knife, a whole different game. I need this sharp all the time. Because I cut
want
up
to order one of those
boxes
ones that
and
you
stuff.
made.
Huh?
I said I want to order one of those big ones that you made. No, I wasn't joking. I saw when I saw you make it last time. That looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
I was waiting to see that. I never saw the handle after you made it, but I saw the blade.
I haven't put it on yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying. I don't know. My kids just moved down here, so I've been kind of busy with that. We actually moved them into a house today. That's why I wasn't sure if I was going to be here or not.
Oh, nice.
And
Nice.
all my stuff came down with them.
All the trucks and everything made it back?
And everything's back, and everything's down here.
Nice.
But I got to go through all my stuff and find some things, which there's a few knives in there I need to find.
Yeah. Be a poopy time to figure out that they left anything behind.
Yeah. I don't remember him unloading my generator after you said that. Hey,
What up,
Brian.
Brian? Good to see you.
So hopefully they at least remembered my generator. I wasn't watching them unload the whole time, but I got a brand new generator. They better have brought that bugger down with them.
Oh yeah, it's a hefty little price tag.
Well, I told them there's a bunch of stuff you can't leave behind, and I gave them a texted a list of all that stuff, you know. And for the most part, looks like they did all right.
I mean, before they were going, it sounded like it was going to be a tough trip for them if they were wondering if they were even going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big move, go from Washington to Arizona.
Yeah. No, you were talking about just the drive itself, and they wanted you to come back and do it, or...
Yeah, they wanted me to come up, rent a U-Haul, load everything in a U-Haul, and drive back.
What up, Senate?
We ended up going with the boxes from U-Haul. You fill the box up, they bring it to you.
Oh, the pot or whatever? Yeah, those work good.
Now, just be careful. U-Haul adds on a lot at the end on that one.
Oh, yeah. No, I guarantee they do.
They wanted another $300 just to deliver them from 5 miles away.
Yeah.
And then wanted to charge us
an
hour for how long we had the damn things.
Well, it's because it's inconvenient for them unless they are on some sort of a trip where they're doing multiple pods. Because if they only got one person to deliver for, it's a waste. Like, could you imagine doing a flatbed and only having one on the back?
They have trailers for single pods, double pods, triple pods. They have all these trailers for however many pods you need. They ended up, ours are on 2 trailers. One single and one double. We had 3 pods.
Oh, okay.
And we unloaded them today in like an hour and a half.
Nice. Do they time you for how long you had to get everything out of it and they can get the pod out?
Yeah. Yeah. And then we call them, hey, you can pick the pods up 4 p.m. Well, we'll get them tomorrow. Well, you better stop charging me right freaking now because they're empty.
Yeah. No, because I remember just doing like concrete and stuff. When you had a cement truck there, every like minute you went over, it was $25 a minute or something like that.
Yeah.
Especially if you weren't taking the whole load and they had to go take the load to somebody else.
They had to take it back, even though they would take it back and make a block out of it.
Yeah. Well, no, it's if they have more shipments to do that day, like say I'm only getting 2 or 3 yards off of the truck, and then they have another delivery. Yeah. That's usually what it was. Ran into a lot of that because we always had to be the first delivery because our boss was always trying to schedule us to be first.
Early.
And it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to send the truck out not full.
Mm-hmm.
I know one company up in Washington charge you for a 9-yard truck if you only had 3 yards. So a lot of times we'd set up as much. Like you go from here, you go over here to this other job, we pour over here, that kind of thing. So we used up 9 yards every time because otherwise it costs us the same amount of money for 3 yards of concrete.
Oh, exactly. Oh man, I always knew how my day was going to go based on the driver because the drivers could have been in a bad mood because the drivers of the cement trucks actually have to like work with you a little bit.
They do a lot of work.
It's not like it's not like a regular delivery driver. They actually, have to keep up with what water to add and stuff like that. And
give you the right swamp. They got to set up their truck to pour no matter what the conditions are.
And they got to know the condition of it most of the time. And then you got to work with them a little bit and clean everything off at the end. And
we always did as much as we could to get those guys out of there as fast as possible because they're running behind. Oh, they turn into pricks quick.
Oh yeah. You can always tell. You can always tell how your day is going to go if they're in a bad mood right when it starts, and it's just like, oh man, this is going to be a rough running around.
You get to know the drivers, and as soon as that guy pulls up, oh shit.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Oh, okay, you're good. But yeah, I was always like that with what's it called, dumpster delivery guys as well. They used to always get me going. because yeah, I'd go to a job site and you got to figure there's, I don't know, probably 30 other contractors working on the same job site, and they're filling up the dumpsters just like I am, and you never really know when they're going to come and swap it out. So they'll swap it out, and it's already, I don't know, a foot and a half over where it's supposed to be. So the dumpster guy's in a pissed off mood. He's in there yelling, trying to get cars out of the way. Well, I'm on top of all the dumpster trying to throw off garbage because they won't even take it if it's not even at a certain height, and just wild stuff like that. It's like those delivery drivers are making 100 stops and just tends to be a pain in the butt. So yeah, you got to kind of keep them in a good mood and just keep the day going. But you get a little used to it over time. Even grocery retail, you get to know the drivers that are going to be cool. Oh yeah, anybody where you have to deal with them unloading or something like that, and it's not just you unloading it. Like I've actually done that with drivers that don't do the unloading, and they get mad because either you drive, your fork truck onto their truck or something like that, and it's just like, dude, I'm just doing my job, just like you're doing your job. Like, can we just
do our jobs and go on?
Right. Neither one of us want to be here any longer than we have to.
Exactly.
I prefer not to work with others. Maybe that's just me.
That was, kind of nice thing about being a carpenter is I only had to deal with people every so often, not all day long.
Yeah. I like people in doses, small amounts here and there.
I used to do a lot of side jobs, and I'd sit there and BS with the homeowners for the longest time. And then finally, I'd like, hey, you mind leaving me alone for a bit so I can work?
Yeah.
And then I'd be done. And they're like,
right.
You're still paying me.
Well, so, yeah.
A lot of people never understand that. You're still paying me for this job, even though I charge you a couple $1,000s for this job and I did it in 2 hours. You're still paying me. Because anybody else would take 2 days, 3 days, 4 days to do the same job I just did in a couple hours.
There's so many people that are stuck on this hourly thing in their head where it's just like, oh, how much are you worth an hour? It's like, no, I bid my jobs by what the job costs for me to do.
Yep.
And how much work I know I'm putting into it. I know that you couldn't do this in this time. And I know how much money it would cost you to do it. So if you would like to not hire me, that's fine too. But don't be upset.
A lot of jobs, I'd take the material cost. That would be my labor cost.
Yeah.
Like doing fencing. Easy enough on a fence. But
depending on the cost, you could just double the cost and make it your label. Make it your labor.
Well, I have the tools, I have the technology, I have the skills. A lot of people don't want to pay for those things.
There's a few things I won't do it with, like for me, like a good example for some of the stuff I'm doing right now. I'm going to be seeding yards and stuff soon, and I've seeded a couple yards recently, and grass seed just costs a lot by weight, and most of the bags I buy are about $120 each for 25 to 50 pound bag, depending on what varieties.
You're not doubling it.
Well, I'm not even doing that. It doesn't take me that long to spread it. But if I'm adding fertilizer, if I'm adding compost or anything like that to help to get it grow, I double those prices. And by the end of it, I've made enough to definitely. It's only going to take me an hour to spread it and get it where I want it. So when you just come in with a huge ticket, it surprises them, and you got to be like, look, half of this is cost. Like, most of it is at least cost.
Well, some things I do, I charge more. If it's going to be a weird job, I'm charging you an hourly price.
Yeah.
Simple as that. I'm charging you. You're buying all the materials. I'm charging you by the hour. And most people, when you tell them I want $30 to $50 an hour, they look at you kind of funny. I'm like, you want it done today or you want it done next week? And most people will go, well, I want it done today. Well, you got to pay for it to get done today. Especially doing like bathroom and kitchen remodels. Oh my God.
Yeah, my mom
You got to stay out of my hair. I'll get her done. You know.
My mom had a special fee that she put on. She made me laugh about it. What did she call it? The PITA fee that she would put on depending on the customer. It just stood for pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And she would put it on there if a customer was just hovering over the whole time or talking to her workers the whole time. It's just like, yeah, they can't get as much work done in the same amount of time if you're pulling them away from what they're doing. Like, just let them do what they're supposed to do.
They know
You can ask them how it's going or if they need anything. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'll take a water, thanks.
Right.
And stuff
Oh,
like
those
that.
are the
That's
customers.
fine.
Oh yeah, those are the customers I always love. Oh, you want a beverage? You want something? Like, those are just great customers.
Mhm.
Bring you out of water if you need it.
I've worked with so many the other way around though.
Oh yeah.
On you about everything, constantly on you about everything. And by God, I'm slowing down. And I'm charging more because I'm slowing down.
Right.
And I don't mind sitting there BSing with the owners, stuff like that. Leave me alone for a few. Let me get this job done. Stuff like that. And they always freak out because, well, that only took you a couple hours and you're charging me this much? And I was like, well, you're paying for all the background too.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's because I know how to do
these
this.
tools aren't free. My knowledge isn't free. Come on.
Yeah, it's my experience of doing this is why it got done so fast. It's not it's not why it's not the amount of time I'm putting into it. It's my experience that makes it get done this quickly. It's pretty easy to explain once they think about it for 2 seconds. It's just like, yeah, most of the time this is how everybody makes their money. You're good at what you do. That's why you get paid what you get paid.
Well, I remember one of the last jobs I did before I said no more. Old employer needed new windows and siding on a house. And he's like, well, how long is it going to take? It'll probably take me 8 to 10 hours. He paid me $13 an hour for that 8 to 10 hours. If I'd known that, I would have taken 2 or 3 weekends.
I was gonna say, you didn't negotiate this out first. What happened?
No, I needed some extra money.
Oh, gotcha.
That was the last time he called me once after that, and I'm like, dude, minimum charge $25 an hour.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Well, I always say I kind of agree with that too, Gonzo. And
well, I was making
when it comes to trades, you get what you paid for. Like,
mm-hmm.
If you try to cut corners and save money, you're going to get somebody that cuts corners and saves money. Like, you'll get exactly what you pay for.
Well, and I worked.
Try to go the cheap route with stuff.
Since it was only paying $13 an hour, I needed the work. This is back 2008 when we had some economy failure.
2008, $13 isn't horrible.
No, and yeah, we would spend half the day sitting on our asses playing on our phones. Because when we worked, we did a ton of work. You paint a whole house in 4 hours. You're not getting paid for that.
Yeah, that's what Granny does for a living. He's a painter.
I hate paint. Hate sheetrock. I hate insulation.
I was fine as long as I wasn't roofing. You can keep me away from roofing.
I made a lot of good money roofing, though. I don't like it. Don't get me wrong. But I used to do a lot of, somebody needed their roof layered over, redone, and like, give me $500, I'll have it done tomorrow. Stuff like that. And like, you're kidding. I was like,
I did a few jobs with my dad, but I didn't want to. I didn't. They just kept me around because I was the workhorse. I was the guy that could carry all of the tiles up.
Right, up the ladder.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a good balance, and he can carry 100 pounds on his shoulders. So we're gonna have him do it. 50 pounds on each side. There you go. We'll stack you up. Your brother will stack you up, and you just keep carrying up the ladder.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It gets boring. It's just I don't like jobs like that where it's monotonous, do the same thing over and over again.
I really enjoyed doing the custom houses where they had weird architecture, stuff like that. That was always fun. Where I really had to use my math skills.
Out here, we had to figure it out.
Make my brain work. I'll enjoy it.
Out here, I had to figure out flashing for roofing out here because you almost have to do it like 3.5 feet up because you have to take into account
the wind.
The snow sitting on top of some of these roofs, and that's usually where you get this moisture that'll seep in if you don't have flashing that goes up on both sides. Like when you're I don't know if anybody understands what I'm saying. If you're putting two structures together, usually that's what houses are when you have like an addition or something like that, and there's a roof that is lower or coming off of another one.
Yeah, there's a line that don't line up.
Exactly. You have to have this flashing underneath the siding, and depending on how high you run it on the north-south wall, like where it's going vertical, where the vertical run is, it has to be up to 3.5 feet in the Chicagoland area because you could have that much snow sitting up there, and it will seep into your house because the moisture is just going to seep in and go to where it'll melt. And
where it can,
I just remember being on new builds, and I was 19 years old, and I was sitting in front of a builder that had probably been building for, I don't know, at least 12 years, and he was pretty high up in the company, and I had just started working there 2 years ago, and I still work for this company to this day, but the builder doesn't. He was saying something to the customers, and everybody around me either spoke Polish or spoke Spanish, and they couldn't figure out what the problem was and why they were getting leaks into the kitchen. And I went outside and I looked, and I saw all the snow sitting on the thing, and because I remember my dad and me fixing our house, and that's how I figured it out. And I said something to one of the Polish guys, and I brought him outside, and I looked, and I showed him it, and sure enough, we cut a hole in the roof of the in the ceiling of the kitchen, and that's where we could see the leak coming through the wall. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. I was like, they built your thing bad, and now you're just paying them more to fix it. And the company was mad that I said it out loud, but they were happy that I figured it out. So they didn't like get mad at me in that sense. They were like, yeah, next time you figure that out, probably don't say it in front of the customer. But I was like, well, you guys are ripping her off thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, it was your mistake, and you guys were charging her to fix it all. I was like, sorry if I didn't speak up when I could tell what the problem was.
I've gotten in trouble for that many times. A brand new house I worked on for a guy, the whole backside of it started rotting out. And the guy that built the house came by, and he's not using enough of his fan in his bathroom on the second floor. And I'm like, that doesn't rot on the other side in the bedroom. Come on. You guys didn't flash this window properly, for one.
Oh, yeah.
And above the bathroom, there's literally a hole in the roof.
Oh, yeah, windows.
He blamed it on a hole in the sheetrock. And I'm like, no, dude, you're paying this bill. My boss was so pissed at me about it, but my boss made him pay the bill too.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Literally, the homeowner sued him and won. Brand new house. I mean, come on.
Well, so many people get lackadaisical about sealing windows properly. I see that all the time because my dad kind of used to do. I don't know if he still does it as side gigs or not, but he used to run his own business where he did windows, shower doors, and mirrors, and just pretty much glazing full time as a side gig. And then he also worked for the union. And there were so many times that I would put in frames or caulking something, and I just saw horrible jobs where other people did it. Like caulking and sealing for me was something I learned at a really young age. So I don't know. It was whenever I saw other people do it, it was just horrible jobs, I guess. The quality went down. And JP, I didn't say it to him in Polish. I was outside trying to show him like, hey, look at the snow, and this is where I think the leak it. Like I was just pointing to it and trying to describe it. Luckily, he kind of knew what I was talking about. But no, there was definitely a language barrier there. I don't speak any Polish.
I'm not good at that either.
No. Luckily, most of the people in construction, they can relate stuff to each other for the most part. It's not that much of a language barrier where you can't get some kind of message across at least.
No, I mean, I've never had the language barrier too often. I used to speak a little bit of Spanish. It was enough to get me by when I lived in California. But anymore, there's only a few cuss words I remember.
Yeah. I can speak a little bit of German. I can speak a little bit of Spanish and a little bit of Finnish.
But in construction and stuff like that, a lot of times all you got to do is look at that, and they know what you're talking about.
Right. And the only Spanish words I learned were like stop, like immediate words that I needed to know, but nothing too crazy. Oh man. But yeah, no, I don't know. You get so many different backgrounds now in construction, but I would say the majority of the people I work with are probably Polish nowadays. Used to be more Spanish speaking, but now it's more Polish. At least in the Chicagoland area.
I can understand that.
Probably different depending on each area.
Yeah, I mean, here in Arizona, it's definitely more Spanish.
Well, and it actually depends on the trade. Like the Spanish people do more drywalling when it comes to like indoor trades. Like they're not doing carpentry, they're not doing framing as much. They'll be doing roofing, and they'll be doing drywalling and finishing. Those are the Mexican crews that I see the most, just because they're quick and they can do all those jobs quick. They do a good job.
They work hard.
Yeah, they do a really good job. They just get a rhythm with what they're doing and work with each other well. The Polish guys are cocky, and they're really good at their job, and they're allowed to be cocky. It's funny. They have a whole different attitude. Yeah, they have a whole different attitude about work.
I mean, you grew up in Washington, a lot of the sheetrock is Spanish. Concrete's getting that way. These guys are doing better concrete work than most people out there that don't want to do these hard labor jobs.
Yeah,
they're taking it over. Absolutely. I mean,
that makes sense for landscape, like anything landscaping. When you think of concrete pouring and stuff like that, that falls into landscaping. I could see that being
good. Sidewalks, driveways, borders.
Oh yeah, they're just better at running crews. I think they're way better at running crews that need to work together and do different tasks and get it all done at the same time. Like,
well, I've had,
way more efficient.
I ran a siding contracting company for a long time doing siding, and my Spanish crews definitely outdid everybody else.
Yeah.
Even if I got on them about something I didn't like, next time it was done right. Every time.
I could just
imagine. I got on a white boy about doing that. He ended up fired. Because he's like, I'm not dealing with that. Get out of my face, dude. Get off my job.
Yeah. No, I can't. I couldn't imagine trying to get 5 white guys to coordinate together and get some shit done. When you start thinking about
crews, and I was running 18 5-man crews.
Well, the only time you think about that actually,
I was doing nothing but driving all freaking day.
The only time I think about that stuff actually working is on a union level, and then you're dealing with, egos, because everybody's been there a different amount of years, so you have a whole different dynamic to deal with. But crews are a pain in the butt to get used to the dynamic.
I never had a problem one-on-one with crews. If I was working with the crew, they worked what I say, you know.
Yeah.
But when I'm bouncing from job to job all day long, telling them I need all this done this way. I mean, man, the Spanish guys, Mexicans, boom, they would bust it out, and hey, we paid them for it.
Yeah. I mean, if they're better at it and more efficient at it, then why not? But yeah, no, it's funny how the different dynamics actually turn out. But no, that's true.
Exactly. That is so
JP,
true.
The company that I work for, the plumbing company, they're Irish. Yeah, in the Chicagoland area. A lot of the Chicagoland area crews are Irish for plumbing, especially unions and all the certified companies.
We talking unions or mob?
And it's an interchangeable word in Chicago.
It is, isn't it?
Not much difference in that word.
No.
Mayor Daley's gone.
I've never worked union. I've got a lot of guys getting on my butt doing some of the bigger jobs I've done for not being union where everybody else is. I was like, I don't have to pay dues if I'm not union, do I? Oh God, no! I get my whole paycheck.
It depends on if there's a union on the job site. Somehow they work it into stealing from you.
They try. Almost all the plumbers, electricians are all union here. Oh, in Washington. I don't know about down here in Arizona, but they always got us honest carpenters because we're not union. We're a private contractor.
Yeah.
And the unions would come by, harassing us about stealing their jobs. Well, you're a union worker. We're going to be done here in 2 months building this high-rise building. You guys will be done next 2 years, maybe.
Yeah. If they don't need an extension.
Yeah.
Because they go on strike and they need to renegotiate their contract and.
Well, you don't agree with. I mean, a certain union can cover a huge amount of area. Well, if I'm working in an area that doesn't have that big of income, and they start fighting that when these people don't have the money to pay that union wage. Because most of the time when I worked on the big jobs, I was making $35, $40 an hour. Well, the union cost would be almost double that.
Oh, I bet.
And these people didn't want to pay that. They paid some of the, like the sheetrockers, they paid them that because the buggers were done in a heartbeat.
That's because it comes down to the amount of people that they require for each job. Like you have to have like 3.5 men for certain jobs on what's it called, on union jobs. So that means they have to have 4 there. One guy's not doing anything. You know what I mean? It's like union work is just structured so differently. It's not people have job security in unions.
Everybody sees it in road work.
Oh yeah.
Drive by a site where they're working on the roads. There's guys that are just standing there. They don't have to do anything. They've already paid their dues and everything, but they're just supervisors.
Road work is the exact definition of insanity.
Yes. Oh man, if you've ever been through Tacoma, Washington, you know that one.
Well,
30 years now, they're still working on that road.
Any place that gets snow or freezes, roads just don't make sense.
Unless you're Roman.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
why,
they made
why are a lot of those Roman roads still standing? Because they built the buggers right.
Well, and I think the climate changed a lot out there as well. It's a lot colder there now than it used to be, I think.
But those Roman roads are still there.
But I judge it by the vineyards. I think a lot of the vineyards are gone. So I know the climate had to change quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like there used to be a lot of Italian vineyards
in California than most places.
Yeah, and now they're starting to experience droughts. And Like I also noticed it in Mexico with like the agave production.
Yeah.
Like the agave
This-
production's gone down.
This
good.
year has been exceptionally bad for the drought out here in the Southwest.
Because you just think of like these big exports, like when you're talking about fruits and vegetables coming from certain places, like especially with everybody talking about tariffs and stuff nowadays, you start thinking about what's actually coming from all of these places that we have to offer, like the big cash crops. Like
Yeah.
I know what ours is in the Midwest. Ours is corn and soybean and wheat. Like it's your staple stuff, and most of the feed or the corn and stuff around us is just sold for feed. It just goes to cattle.
Yeah,
So it's just
it doesn't even go to
supporting
the market.
Yeah, no, it's supporting. Well, it does, but it's supporting the meat market. It's a
Where
whole
I'm at
different
now, it's lettuce.
lettuce. Okay.
Lettuce, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, but mostly lettuce, all types.
Yeah, I didn't know they were growing lettuce out there.
Yeah, I mean, you go by all the fields out here, it's lettuce.
It was weird when I was up north in like the Washington and stuff area where you'd just see all deserts and then you'd have this one random field that was just totally green. And you could tell that they were just constantly watering it and keeping up with it and probably had to bring in soil. It's wild how
Not really have to bring in soil because it's volcanic soil all Washington.
so it's nice and nutrient rich at least.
And apples. That's what Washington's famous for, is apples.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I just can't imagine how much it costs to bring in all that water.
Columbia River is very big.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they, by the time, what's it called? Is it the Colorado that everybody's tapping from?
Oh
Is that
man, there's barely a river here. I'm close to Mexico where Colorado flows in. There's not much left here.
Yeah, by the time it gets south, I heard
there's
it's
spots
pretty
I can
big
walk
from.
across the Colorado down here. Literally
wow.
walk across it.
Like, what are you talking? Like ankle deep? Like, or are we talking like waist
I don't
deep?
know. I've
What are
never
we talking?
tried, but I can see the ground all the way across the river.
Oh, that's not good.
I mean,
The river turns into a stream down at the bottom.
it's
yeah,
crazy.
If you think about how
It's
many
still got a
people
long ways to go from here, and Mexico's raping it too.
Oh yeah, everybody is. Everybody's got to.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's if you think
The
about
Colorado
what's the avocado
Basin out here in northern Arizona, California, Arizona border out here is lush and green with crops.
Yeah.
The water I get out of my tap right here where I'm at from the Colorado.
Because I would assume avocados are a big production in California as well. And avocados,
California avocados and some of the lemons, limes.
they take more water. They take more water by square footage than I think a human does.
And the nuts.
Yeah,
the nuts are huge out here too.
Because they were comparing what's it called, factory farming to to meat production as well, like that type of factory farming when you're dealing with animals and livestock as well.
Right.
And they were saying a field of avocado trees would take up more water than a field of cattle. And
the worst part is I can't even buy good avocados here. They're all from Chile.
I was gonna say, don't we import most of our avocados from Mexico or Chile or? Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. We don't usually tap into our resources unless we have to.
Well, an avocado is a quick resource, though. But one thing that we do grow that does not last. So down there in Chile, they harvest them early. And so by the time we get them, they're almost ready to eat.
Well, it's just like if we did that with Canada, it would make so much sense, because if you think about how much dairy costs in Canada and how close Wisconsin is, Wisconsin produces more dairy than the whole country of Canada. And the people of Canada are paying $9 for a gallon of milk because they don't want to. Right. They don't want to work. There's probably a tax on that. Who knows?
Oh, I'm sure. And, it's not like they can bring anything to the U.S. anymore,
Yeah.
which
It's just
Canada always
wild that.
supplied us mostly with metals.
But it's just
And
like, why wouldn't we
that's
work
what's the
together
tariff.
on? Why wouldn't we work together on simple things like that? That's a tariff that Canada has on the U.S. That's why it's so people will buy Canadian milk rather than making it cheaper for their own people. Like I don't know. It's just strange to me. Why wouldn't you want your people, prospering off of a good deal?
Right.
Rather than keeping businesses and companies in business that don't need to be around if there's actually a supply for, other people available.
Well, yeah, tariffs. I don't get tariffing anybody in any of the Americas. I don't get tariffs on that.
Right.
You want to tariff the overseas countries? Go for it. I don't really give a hoot because it doesn't matter to me. But Canada and Mexico, come on! Why in the heck would you bother?
Right.
You
want them
really
working together.
You really want trouble with Canada and Mexico?
No, you want them.
don't.
You want them working together, but that would probably have to be established where it's like, okay, we already have tariffs on the table. Why does Canada have them? Why does Mexico have them? Let's get all of our tariffs off the table, because that's what's happening right now. I think is there's already tariffs on the table, and they're going, all right, well, America's going to put some in too because we don't have any on the table, and you guys already have some in Canada, and because we get tariffed on probably lumber and stuff from Canada, and there's probably plenty of stuff that we get tariffed on from Canada as well as from Mexico when it comes to avocados and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, we should just take all of them off the table instead of America putting more on to try to balance it out.
Yeah,
we should just work towards taking them down.
Release it. I mean, right now you're going to spend an hour to get into Mexico right here at the border.
Well, that's our biggest issue.
They are stopping everybody now. Where last year when I went down to Mexico, they're waving you on through.
That's our biggest problem when it comes to starvation in the United States is actually transportation. It's getting supplies to other people. We have an overproduction problem when we throw away more food than everything else. And it's just
I mean,
why people are starving is because we can't get stuff.
You think about the amount we put into animal feed. And then we're still wasting it because we don't have enough animals to feed.
Right.
That's crazy. I drive by, in my travels, I drive by areas where you can see it used to be full of cattle. Not anymore.
Just thinking about how much the average person in every household throws away every year when it comes to food. That's just because, like, either overproduction or we can't get we can't ship food to people efficiently. Like, it's got to be a transportation issue. It's like, why would somebody throw away that much food a year? Like, everybody's throwing away hundreds of pounds of food a year, but people are going starving. That makes no sense.
Put that shit in a can.
Right.
Or as simple as that.
Or if the government was smart enough to I think a good thing would be to offer people freezers or something like that, where they could actually store food for a period of time. I think that would actually be quite efficient. I mean, if we had some kind of electricity program where people could, like, if people were on government assistance with electricity, it would be more efficient for them to have a freezer where, they could actually store food for a period of time.
Yeah.
Those are the people you can send government cheese to, the ones that can actually freeze stuff and actually make it more efficient, because most of the time, the people that are using food stamps and stuff like that, I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah,
they're buying
perishable food.
Yeah, well, that and food that you have to cook in a microwave or something like that. It's not like something you're going to go home and cook on the stove and make a meal out of, because either people don't have stoves or they don't have, cooking utensils at home. It's like a simple thing like a freezer would help people so much.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like a stove would.
People that can't just have a regular house freezer, that doesn't hold a lot. I mean, when I had my house, I had a stand-up freezer and a spare fridge in the shop with a freezer. I filled them. I kept them full.
It's cheaper to throw away than to pay to send it somewhere.
So
Yeah.
send it up.
Well, that, and I think it's just people are just wasteful too. It's a common phrase to say, my eyes were hungrier than my stomach or something like that. And it's just like you already prepared all this food.
You haven't seen my dog.
Right. Oh no, there's plenty of dogs like that will just eat, and as long as there's food in front of them, they'll just keep eating. I figured that out about a lab once. My dad just kept like handing him bowls of food, and then like as we were doing it, we looked it up, and we're like, oh yeah, there's some dogs that will just eat until they explode.
Like a horse. Yeah.
Yeah. You can only give them so much. You got to
Yeah,
proportion it.
I don't
used to
have
that.
my leftovers do not go to waste because I do have a big old dog.
Yeah.
And most of the
When I'm
time,
picky,
he just cleans the bowl because I eat.
we try to be picky about it as much as possible. Like if we do cook a lot of food, we try to plan on eating leftovers or something the next day. It's like, I don't know. There's a shelf life to leftovers though too.
Oh,
After 2 or 3 days, I'm not touching it. Well, my rabbit was good for that stuff. Whenever my lettuce or something would start to wilt,
Oh, yeah.
you'd eat all my lettuce. My old
yeah,
veggies.
I try to freeze leftovers unless I know I'm going to eat them for like lunch the next day. If
Yeah.
not, I'll put it in portion bags, put it in the freezer, like spaghetti. Because when I make spaghetti, I make a huge pot of spaghetti.
Can you just freeze the leftovers of spaghetti without it tasting wild at the end?
The reheating process is kind of slow and a bitch, but yeah, it tastes fine.
Yeah. I say I always have way too much spaghetti. You can never make it. It's kind of like
can't
rice.
make a
It's one of those
small
things. Yeah. Rice is the same way, but it's like rice, you can never reheat it and get it back how it was. I feel like, especially if you're dealing with like white rice or something.
No, when I do rice, what we don't eat, I give to the dog. I don't even
There you go.
try to save it because unless you want to eat it cold, which spaghetti you can eat cold, it doesn't matter. But rice, it's a little different.
A couple years, a lot of majority grocery chains were doing yearly and decent size deep freezes, washer size, and you get a rebate for grocery staples. What are you talking about? Well, so
I kind of get that.
so they're cleaning out the stock at the grocery place,
Yeah.
and they're giving it to you cheap. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh.
I was losing the conversation. I couldn't. My brain wasn't processing that. I don't know why.
Even as a person, we can only keep stuff in the freezer for so long before
Yeah.
it starts not being as good anymore. It's still edible, always going to be edible, but not as good.
Well, with grocers, they get new stock in and stuff, and they probably got to push new products, and they got to clear space, and you only have so much shelf space. My parents go and do that at the Dollar Generals. You can go in there at certain times of the year, and every item that's on this list is
right towards the end of the month.
it's what
They get
it's
the
listed
new
for,
stock on the first of the month.
but it's listed for 1 cent for every item. It's
Use
insane.
their app, you get a good discount there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and they have the discounted stuff, but you can get stuff for 1 cent a piece, and it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like you're talking like everything in this. Like we got $20 candles that are 1 cent a piece.
Oh
Like,
wow!
it's insane. Like
They're
things
just
that
trying
you
to
think.
clean their shelves at that point. Then
Oh yeah, it's not something that's going to expire.
right.
Like little kid Nerf guns for 1 cent a piece. Like it's just wild. The stuff they start getting rid of. But yeah, the freezer stuff is they usually got to clear it out because they want to get the freezers cleaned. And
Yeah.
what does that say? They would sell a deep freezer, like a smaller, and with it you could get a rebate that was like a gift card for more than half of what the freezer cost. Oh, okay. So, oh yeah, so they give you a big chunk of money back so that you buy meat there too.
Yeah.
Probably fill it up at the same place. Yeah, they just
I
give
know
you a
we
big
have
chunk of
a
your money back.
meat cutter up there in Washington we go to all the time for the big chunks of meat we're smoking and stuff like that. And right before it's time to start doing the harvesting, you can get stuff pretty darn cheap because they need to make space.
Oh yeah. You know, my dad always had we had a basement freezer, which was like the big floor freezer,
Big
and
chunk freezer,
he'd go in with somebody at his work with about a half a cow or
yeah.
something like that, and just fill the freezer. And oh my gosh, talking 75-cent steaks, and that was back in the day. But God, it
Yeah,
was so
it's a
nice.
little more expensive now.
Yeah,
I've gone in with people to raise a cow to get half a cow, and it always costs me too much money. Hey,
what
Simon,
up, Simon?
I'll be right back. I need another beer.
All right, welcome in, Simon.
Yo,
What you up to tonight?
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Not much. I'm trying to stay cool, man. You know what I mean? But I like
Yeah.
your background and stuff. I like what you're doing at the moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was trying something new. Me and Stone have been doing this show. This is kind of our second episode, and our names correlate well. And so we did like Stone in the Waters for our name, and I got a little stream running in the background, and yeah, it's kind of fun
Yeah.
and easy.
That's cool. It reminds me of certain times, you know what I'm saying? Water rafting and trying to dodge the cliffs and all that sort of, kayaking
Yeah, no, I like-
and it's good. It's good. I don't know. It's refreshing anyway. Like, you know what I mean?
The AI pics are getting a little weird. I think they're fun though. Just because I haven't been turning on my camera much, so I think it's fun to do like random ones. And I've been making like every time me and Tony do a show, I have 3 new ones that I can cycle through at some point.
I think you've hit on a nail though, like, because some people take it too far, but I think like I think you've hit it right on a nail. Like, that's Jacob as far as I'm concerned. Like, personified. I think that's what AI is supposed to do. Like, some people take it too far. They try to mess with it too much.
Oh yeah, they try to be superheroes, and yeah, no,
Yeah.
I try to keep them. I try to keep them somewhat basic, nothing too crazy. Well, my first ones I was doing was like me and like Bigfoot, and Bigfoot had my face, and they were a little weird in the beginning.
I want to
Yeah, a
see
little wild.
I want to see a Stonewall AI. That's what I want to see.
You're looking at it.
No, I ain't. I'm looking at the real Stone. I want to see the AI. Can you hook him up, Jacob?
I could do it, but I wouldn't do that unless Stone wanted me to. I know a lot of people don't like the AI generated images and stuff like that.
Now, but this is like, you remind me of like Nazi Germany type shit, like the war, like World War II. You know what I'm saying? And that resonates with me. You know what I mean? Like,
Who does? I do.
yeah, like that's your image. I'm just being straight out with you. Like, your image reminds me of that. You know,
I don't know how
like,
to take that, but all right.
no, like the army veterans that like literally came in and like saved Britain. Like, that's what that reminds me of.
Don't compare me to army veterans. I appreciate it, but
When you're not,
I knew I was gonna get on your wall with that, but I'm just saying, like, it does. You give. That's what it gives off. It's just like, yo, you know what I'm saying?
I wish I was brave enough to be in the service.
You are in the service. You live your life. What are you talking about?
No, not that kind of service. No, I'm saying if I was ever in the military service, I wouldn't mind somebody saying something like that. But I just feel like I don't know.
Stone, do you understand what I'm talking about? Like, just
I know what you're saying, like the clean cut look. I think that's what you mean, like the clean cut
no.
shaven look. and-
I wasn't saying that. I was saying like just being able to survive and understand and like speak some real shit is a service. You know,
I guess you do have a point on that one. I mean, Jake and I have talked about survival and dealing with shit, and that is a service to
you gotta
share.
give yourself some credit, you know, because no one else is gonna, right? That reminds me of a movie.
If you shake it more than twice, you're playing with it, JP. You gotta get a picture of Jacob slaughtering a cow? No. Why would you want that? just quartering some animal.
We only half the cows.
So, yo, Stone, what you been up to?
Well, not a whole lot. Same as last time.
Are you gonna write a book or something? Like, we need to hear about your life.
I think I got enough content out there. I probably don't need to write a book.
I think I could be your agent. Like,
you should get a writer to write your book.
I'm gonna provoke him to write a book.
Just because there's a different audience out there that would read your book rather than, you know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of people that like reading adventure and, you know, type books that aren't going to watch a podcast.
Trauma.
I want to hear about it. Like, you can sit down and talk about it. I'll take some hours out. What do you reckon?
Whatever you want to talk about, as Dick knows, I'm willing to talk about just about everything.
No. Like, the online stuff is cool, but I'm just saying, like, you could write a real crime novel or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, nowadays you could probably just talk into an AI thing and tell your story, and it would compose it for you.
Yeah, that's true.
They got services where you don't even have.
I don't need a human to do the work anymore.
That's right. But that's the money. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're competing against digital projects. So if you could actually,
there's a lot of my story that I don't share, and yes, there's a lot I do.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You need to write a book.
But Simon, with what you said about that's money, and you're worried about AI. So in all business, it's about cutting out the middleman. In all business, if you got too many people with their hands on things, somebody's getting money that they don't need. So AI is just another form of doing that as well, where the individual can make more money as well. So you got to think about it on both sides.
Maybe you can do it. Like, take some time out to speak to the wolf man, because he said, like, there's some things like he ain't gonna speak about. That's what we want to hear in the book.
That's how people are with, like,
I wouldn't put in a book either.
But that's how people are with, like, war stories and stuff too. There's a lot of people I know that just don't want to speak on stuff like that. They just keep it in a place and just don't talk about it anymore publicly.
A
lot of people would love those stories, but it doesn't mean they're going to talk about them.
Right.
I don't know. I personally, I know I ain't really let loose on everything I've done in my life, but there will come a point in time where I will write a book about it.
Well, good for you. There's just too many things in my life I won't share.
So you're just gonna let the next generation just, like, go ahead and, like.
No, I think I share enough to get the points across.
Have you ever been inside of an alligator?
I've never even seen one.
Oh, okay. Have you seen that movie, like, with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah,
where
he gets mauled by a bear.
Yeah, and he had to hide himself inside of an alligator.
Never done anything quite that extreme. Never been injured that extreme either.
Oh,
I've been injured pretty good, but not to that extreme.
I haven't seen that movie, but I once saw a movie where Jim Carrey crawled out of the asshole of a rhino.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was good for me. Looked like he was getting birthed.
Mm-hmm.
He was breaching.
He's breaching. What?
Pretty much.
Lord.
Have you ever seen that, Simon? It's a wild. It's
Yeah,
a wild
yeah,
scene.
nah, yeah. I'm big on movies. Like I'm really big.
I'm
That's why I
pretty big on
said.
movies too.
But yeah, that's all I thought of when you said you crawled inside of an alligator. I'm like, who the hell's got enough space inside of an alligator? I could see somebody having enough space inside of a rhino, but not an alligator.
I like Crocodile and Dundee's idea of using them as a mask.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy, Crocodile Dundee. He
What?
is like one of the originals with his big knife in the.
That's not
There's a
one.
reason we carry big knives. You know that, right? Because that's not a knife.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what he.
I thought you were gonna say overcompensating.
That's
Not what I thought.
Yeah,
But that's
I mean,
why you carry. I thought that's why you carried a big knife.
Mm.
No, I think there's a law. I think there's a law in Illinois, and I don't know if it's like this in all states, but you're not allowed to carry a blade or something that's bigger than your hand or something like that, or you have to have it licensed or registered or something.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so you can't have a blade that's bigger than
I
your
know in
hand
Washington
wrapping around
you
it.
can't have a concealed knife that's over 8 inches, even if it's a folding knife. You can't have a concealed knife over 8 inches.
And I know
But
butterfly
on the
knives are.
out in the open, there's no limit. I've carried swords. Don't get me wrong.
That'd be fun.
Hey,
What?
unloading our stuff today. I finally got to see my swords again. That was nice.
What kind of sword? You look like a saber kind of guy. What kind of sword are you rocking?
My favorite is the katana.
But got a katana?
My Viking sword's pretty nice too.
Nice. You look like a Middle Eastern saber kind of guy. Those big arch
katana.
blades.
I like the way it feels and moves. And then on the other hand, the Viking sword's like a big old giant two-bladed axe. You know, it's a monster. It's
What
still
up,
fun.
Canadian? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I don't know if I would only want a one-handed sword. I wouldn't want a two-handed sword. I feel like it would be.
Both
It
of
would
mine are
be,
one-handed.
Oh,
The
that's
Viking
good.
sword
I
is
was gonna say,
one-handed, but by God, if you don't got the strength, you can't wield one of those things. They're huge.
oh yeah, you gotta get that thing swinging.
I mean,
You gotta
the
get some
blade's
momentum
like
behind
2.5 inches wide
Yeah.
and 3 feet long.
Well, I always see videos of big guys when they're trying to reenact some of the Viking stuff, and they're swinging pretty large mallets or hammers, and it's like the same with the swords. They were swinging pretty heavy swords.
Yeah,
They were big people.
they were trained that way. I mean,
I
you
always
think about
wonder-
the size of some of their axes.
I always wonder what the Vikings actually looked like. We don't really have much evidence of what they actually looked like. Most of it's all fabricated. I didn't realize most of it we actually don't have much info on them at all.
No, and you see a lot of the cosplay, and they do all the makeup and the outfits and everything else like that. They're sheep herders, man. What's a sheep herder look like?
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, I think it's like relatable for our generation. Is have you ever heard the term with farmer strength?
No.
Yeah, that's kind of what you were dealing with the Vikings, but they were just big people, and they probably had farmer strength. Like that's exactly what you were probably
The
dealing
sheep
with.
herders, fishermen. The Vikings were farmers, basically.
Yeah, but they didn't have horns and stuff in their helmets and
Oh,
all
God,
this other
no.
stuff.
Horns are for drinking.
Yeah. That makes a lot more sense. But yeah, I always laugh when I see the movies, and then because I think we have like one partial helmet that we found from the Vikings, and that's like the only evidence of a helmet. And yeah, it looks like an old football helmet, like a leather, like top,
Yeah, that's
something like
not what
that.
they did.
No,
Let's see if I can find a picture of my outfit.
you have a Viking outfit.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I used to do a lot of reenactments from the 1200s.
Okay. You might explain carrying around swords a little bit more.
Or why I own them.
Yeah. They say most of the people I ever run into are either reenactors or they are sellers or collectors.
Hmm. I learned all the crafts from back then. That was one of the things I was really into, was the crafting, because they had
It'd be cool.
unique way of doing crafts.
Yeah, it'd be cool to actually forge one, because that's what's like the big thing behind what kind of blade is it? That they have so many originals that are almost impossible to fake because of the way that they were actually forging them back then. The Japanese sword, I can't remember which one it was. Which one is it that's
I don't
like
remember
super
the
rare?
name of that. I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember the name of it.
Because everybody claims to have one, and it's like a super rare one. Rare. Is it Chinese or Japanese? Japanese sword. It's the katana samurai sword. Authentic.
Yeah, I don't have the
Japanese
samurai
sword
style, but I do have a really nice katana.
But yeah, apparently they were like forged differently, and they're like stronger metal than we can even reproduce now. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they folded them 3,000 times. You can try to do the math on that, but yeah, good
Yeah,
luck.
that's insane. It's insane. The density is just incredible, because they used to talk about how those swords could just like slice up, like go through bone and slice through something
They
effortlessly.
don't even slow down.
Yeah.
Mine's not that nice. I can't afford that. You know,
No,
that stuff is not cheap. I
they're like
forged my
rare.
own weapons, my own helmets. I've made body armor for a lot of people.
They're like rare violins. Like they're like one of those things that was created by hand one time, and they're almost priceless. It's all down to the collectors and how much you want to pay for them, because crazy prices.
Yeah, I mean, I've made so many things for different people through the years. Axes, you know, I have a forge. I forged tools. I forged axes, knives. You know, stuff like that. Where is that picture? Not many times people have taken pictures of me. It kind of makes it hard to find. But yeah, I've made bows, shields.
One of our friends of the family does Civil War reenactments. I think I always give him shit because I think he fights for the South. Because I feel like it's one of those things you got to give people.
My swords.
Let's see what you got here. Oh, what happened? Oh, there it goes. Simon must have left at the same time.
That's my katana next to my Viking sword.
Oh, okay. The bent one, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice. It's got a nice long handle too. That one is supposed to be double handle. I mean,
that
a double.
One is supposed to be, but it is light enough to use a single.
I'm gonna say it must be pretty light.
me see if I've made so much stuff over the years, right down to spoon carving, weaving.
Can you weave something that's somewhat waterproof where it doesn't leak water?
I can with beeswax.
Yeah, you have to seal it.
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering how people did that when they were like carrying like baskets of water back to a village or something like that.
Right.
I wonder how they were, because I mean nowadays we got like paraffin wax and stuff like that where you can seal things, but you didn't probably want to put your drinking water in it.
Here's another pretty good pick. My sword, my axe, my helmet, my shield. You can see my hammer laying on the ground right there, and my chair.
So did you actually like LARP and stuff and do battles?
No, I'm not a fighter.
No.
I have good reasons for not fighting, but can't really tell. But this tent it's sitting next to is 16 feet tall, 26 feet wide. And this is what, when I did shows, I had all my stuff set up in these tents, all my weaving, all my weapons, everything, all set up inside this tent.
That mallet there on the ground looks pretty big too.
It's a monster. That's how I pounded my steaks.
Yeah, that wood mallet.
But yeah,
Man.
these are the traditional axe, traditional sword, helmet, chair.
Is that a
and
throwing
the shield.
axe? Is that a throwing axe?
It's a tomahawk style, yeah.
Okay. I can't tell by the weight of it. Like it looks like it's weighted towards the face, though.
Yeah. Well, it's got the sheath on it right now, so same kind of thing. It's just, when I got into it, I got way into it. I can't believe I cannot find the picture of my outfit.
Yeah, my buddy and I we did the LARPing thing for a while. I had a lot of fun doing that because I felt like I'm way too athletic and competitive where I probably shouldn't do this. But
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna have a lot of fun doing it because at first I thought it was nerdy and I was looking at all the other people out there. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm way more competitive and athletic than a lot of the other people I'm looking at. It doesn't
Right.
really matter what weapon I have as long as you have good aim and know how to use it. And so we had big foam swords, and I got pretty good with a foam sword and a shield.
This is my tent.
Oh wow, it's
Um,
pretty tall.
you kind of see in the back of it, I have a cooking station, traditional style. But yeah, when I do festivals and stuff like that, I'd close the back door, put tables all the way around, and display all my crafts.
Okay. And you just did these at like festivals or?
Now this picture's from a wedding I did in my tent.
Oh, okay.
I had a
Interesting.
Viking wedding at a friend's house up in Port Angeles, Washington. Then I took all my stuff up there. If you look to the left side, you can see my tarp and my actual camping tent set up behind it. So I had room inside the tent for the whole wedding. We ended up bringing in the fire pit, doing it all out inside there. Cooked everything on the cook pit in the back. It was fun.
So I assume you can't show us pictures of the Viking burials you've done.
I don't think we ever did burials.
No, isn't that when you light a raft on fire and push it out?
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't think you should have any video of that or pictures of that. I was joking.
I'm trying to see if I got an actual picture of the tent set up. Lots of stuff from the festivals. Lots of stuff of the stuff I made, of course. And lots of stuff from I have videos of the fighters going at it, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah, that's always good. It's entertaining.
I'm like you. I'm a little bit too competitive to think it's still going to be safe out there.
Oh no,
And
no, yeah, not for
these
them.
aren't LARPing weapons. These are real weapons.
Oh yeah, no, I told my buddy, I was like, you got to tell me if this stuff hurts. I was like, I can pat it up a lot. I was like, but you guys need to tell me if this stuff hurts. I was like, because I'm gonna swing it like a weapon. Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
And
I
they
hope
do.
you're ready
I
for
mean,
me to swing
they
it.
literally, they're not sharp. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
But they're
dull, but
literally
they're still
weapons.
Yeah, they're dulled, but they're still materials.
Yes. I mean, that Viking sword weighs enough that it's gonna hurt. No
There's
matter
this,
what you do, pat it or not, you're gonna get hurt. And guys
there's this,
do. They keep ambulances on hand all times.
there's this comedy movie I recommend you watch. If you've never heard of it, it's called The Kingdom of Badassdom.
Yeah,
And
I've heard of that.
It's got Paul Dinklage in it, or no, what's his name? Dinklage. He's the dwarf who's in Game of Thrones. I can't remember his name. He's also in Elf,
I
and
can
he's in a
picture
lot
his
of.
face.
But yeah, he's a short little guy, but he buys all authentic. They do LARPing in that, and he does all authentic weapons, and so he's got all these like metal dulled weapons and like a metal mace that he made himself and all this other stuff, and it's a pretty fun themed movie. And they go out into the woods and fight other groups, but it's
Nice.
actually done pretty well. I was watching it earlier this week, but it's like free on Tubi. If anybody wants to watch it.
I actually just found that place.
What place?
Tubi.
Oh, I love Tubi. I like the fact that you can just click it and play. It'll just play through the whole series. I like that on streaming services. Not a lot of them have that anymore. I watched the first 3 seasons of All in the Family last week.
That's a traditional Viking bed.
Nice. What's the material? Is it leather?
The blanket is hair-on leather.
Oh, okay.
I actually
What
have a memory
what
foam
hides were they?
mattress under that, but it's deer hide.
All deer? Okay.
All little bits of it, all sewn together, which I have actually in a bag right here next to me right now. It completely breaks down to be portable, which is
Okay, I can see. Yeah, because it looks
yeah,
like the legs.
it's
Yeah.
got pins and shims in each of the legs.
You just got slats laying over the bed.
Yep, just slats inside.
Nice.
And I'd always have that inside the tent, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, we got a loft that we made like that. Really, really easy to take apart.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole idea. The Vikings were kind of, in some ways, nomadic.
Oh yeah, they were always tearing down and setting up somewhere else.
Yeah. And this one's weaving. All kinds of different kinds of weaving that I learned. Wire weaving, which is this block. The inkle loom, which is belts and trim and stuff like that. Peg loom for making blankets and heavier stuff. It's just
So I've always seen
so
those ones with the spikes that you're pointing at. What
Yeah.
what are those? What are the spikes used for? Is it just to do a tighter weave, or what is it?
Each spike. Let's see if I can get the cursor in the right
Like
spot.
the one that looks like a comb all the way to the left. Like, is that why they have those like that? I was looking at the one with the blue and the green and the white stripes.
That is actually card weaving.
Okay.
They looks like a comb, but it's a whole bunch of 2x2 cards with 4 holes in them.
And so is it set
next
up
to
for
it
a
is-
certain pattern?
Yes, you can
Okay.
adjust the patterns, make different kinds of patterns. That's the it's hard to tell on the screen, but that is a card woven band right there with it, right along here. And these are the
Okay.
cards. And this tray behind it is just what holds my cards.
Gotcha.
And then you got the rocks where you see my wire wrapping.
Yeah.
And over here is the Lucette loom and what I've made from it. And the belts, of course, I wished I still had that monster loom here. But I got the little one. I still do stuff with it. The belts, and you can make belts, trim, and everything else. The peg loom makes a really thick, like it would be great for winter clothing.
What
Stuff
kind
like
of
that.
do you do a lot of leather stuff or no?
I have, yeah.
What is what part of the skin do they use for? Because I know they say hide, but do they actually only use hide for making leather, or how does that work?
You can only get leather from hide.
Is all skin hide?
Yes. It's the
Okay, I didn't know.
outer layer of a animal of some sort. Even
Okay, so
our skin is hide.
do certain animals have a thicker hide, and their leather
yeah.
is better?
Yeah.
Leather is better for certain animals.
Most hide people use now are cow. The Native Americans use deer because that's what they had, or bison, which bison has a really good hide. Bigger the animal, usually the thicker the hide.
Okay.
We actually take the pig skin and fry it up, so we only use it for basketballs and footballs.
Yeah.
That's why
So
they always called a football a pig skin.
So roughly, how much would it shrink when you were putting it through the leather process? Like how big of a piece would you need to like make a belt or something like that?
Really, it's the thickness of the hide. If you remove the hair and you remove the inner layers of fat, it's still that thickness of hide.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it shriveled up like you'd think of skin
It
drying out. Or
it does dry out.
yeah. Oh, did you end up getting that new job, Brett? Congrats, man. Get some rest.
Sleep, Brett.
Gotta be up at 4 a.m. Get you some rest.
But yeah, that's just the weaving I did. This one here with all the peg holes in it here, that's wire weaving.
I've seen that one before too. Replace all the pegs in there, and
you just draw the wire through each different size of peg hole to make bracelets, head jewelry, stuff like that. Which I don't think I have any pictures of the head jewelry I've done.
Like headbands and stuff?
Yeah. Because I made them out of metal. I made them out of cloth. Did all that.
It's pretty neat. Yeah, no, I haven't learned that kind of crafting. I wanted to do stuff like metal work, but I think it'd be cool to forge some stuff. I've always wanted to melt down things, and thank you, Brett. And I don't know, maybe make things in a mold. I think that would be fun. Maybe, fun. But I don't know. I'd have to really understand fire temperatures and stuff like that, and maintaining heat, and
it's a learning process. When I built my first forge,
do you start having to use like things that burn hotter than wood? Like, what do you use for fuel sources when you got to get temperatures that high?
I use propane in my forges.
Okay.
But a coal forge is what the traditional forges were, and I've used them too. And boy, they get hot.
How do you heat up coal?
You light it on fire and push air through it.
Oh, okay. So you just create a circulation and gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the traditional ones had a hand crank air pump or a bellows.
Yeah, the one they do by hand or whatever that pushes air.
Pushes air into it to increase the
fireplace one.
Yeah, propane's so much easier. You just turn it on.
Yeah. No, I would want to do it. I'm weird like that. I want to do everything the most difficult way first. That way I can figure out why people do it the
You
right
got any
way.
bricks?
What's that? Oh yeah,
Brick?
no, I built like brick ovens and stuff before. I just
Okay.
haven't done.
Run a metal tube, put a hair dryer in the end, put some coal in there. You'll melt metal in a heartbeat.
Okay. I
You
gotta
gotta be
find.
careful though if you want to
the
make
biggest-
something because you don't want it to melt.
Well, yeah, the biggest thing is I got to get the containers and stuff that I can put inside the oven. I can make the oven or make
The
the
crucibles,
forge.
crucibles are cool. I use them for melting copper, brass, for like hilts and hand guards, stuff like that.
Are those
Then
like the pots
Then
that
I
everybody
pour them out
melts?
and cast them. But the metal, I just use leaf springs.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I would want to goof
Very
around.
good metal.
I'd want to goof around with like copper and nickel and a bunch of different. You know what I mean? Just kind of figure out the temperatures and stuff on stuff.
Yeah, I melt them in my crucible in my forge, and make ingots that I could work.
It'd also be cool to do like because I used to do metal drawing at a company. It'd be cool to mix different metals like copper and different silvers or different colors and then get like a polished finish.
That gets tricky when the metal's melting temperature or working temperature is too far apart.
Yeah, because they don't bind. Yeah, they'll separate.
They'll separate on you. I've had a lot of friends of mine trying to do brass and steel together, and it's like steel melts at 3,500 degrees. Brass is already long gone by then.
Yeah.
So you can only heat it to the brass temperature, and then you got to work it harder because the steel is not as soft.
And
cool
for me,
metal done right.
Metal polishing is super easy to do. Like I don't have. It would take me seconds to do. Well, not seconds, but hours to do even a small. Probably a medium-sized polishing job. Polishing job for metal is so much easier.
Oh yeah, I do the same thing for rocks. Exact same tools.
Yeah.
I use an angle grinder with diamond bits, and that's how I polish my metal and my rocks. When I had the shop, all that set up, I had sanders and grinders. I didn't angle grinder. No, I'm using my sander over here.
It's like I really only use diamond blades for cutting glass. I've never really had to use them for anything else. Maybe cutting stone. I'd like clean cuts.
Yeah.
If I'm doing patios or something like that, or concrete cutting, but
now I use discs that go right on the front of the angle grinder, and the flap disc.
Yeah, I
use flap discs for the metal. Then when I want to get into the finishes, I go to the diamonds instead of the silicone.
Do you have to wash off your bit constantly so it doesn't fill up with like the old debris?
Not so much.
Or do you just wash the stone, or do you just keep washing the stone itself off?
Yeah, I try to keep the stone a little bit wet at all times. I mean, lower grits, not so much, but once you get up into the higher grits, you want more water. Because the last thing you want to do is get them too hot. That can damage your rock as well as your polishing pad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, at the lower grits, you're just kind of working.
Yeah, you're just grinding. You're just grinding.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I already know I'm going to end up doing a little bit more on that thing tonight. I was already thinking about. I did more on it today, and I was like, all right, take a break. You don't need to be doing it that much.
It'll come out. It just takes time.
Oh yeah, no, I'm already enjoying like the process of how far it's gotten in that time. I like how smooth it is to like rub my hands on it.
Yeah. Now, if you take your other one and take your diamond blade and just cut the best you can on it, you'll notice a difference when you're trying to work it the rest of the way.
Oh yeah, I guarantee if I'm not working
a flat surface is way easier to work than an uneven one.
Oh yeah. I would much rather polish a flat surface. But it'll be cool to keep both of them separate and be like, all right, this was the process for both of them.
Right.
And Yeah, I think I'm gonna end up getting 2 out of that other side just because of like I showed you where that
Yeah,
weird
that
break
crack,
is in it.
that crack kind of going through it.
Well, and I think it's gonna have real cool crystallization along that too, because that's usually where the hollowed out spots are too. So I might get some jagged edges in there, and
Right.
might end up keeping in a nice exposure spot or something.
Be right back.
Yep. Yeah. Oh man. Gotta do some editing this weekend. Maybe get a bunch of videos up. I didn't even check what the UFC schedule looks like either. See if I'm doing a stream. UFC schedule. Leon Edwards, Sean Brady, Jan Blachowicz. Yeah, we're probably going to be doing it's at 3 p.m. on Saturday. Okay. Be a nice early one. That's fun. Get some day drinking done. That'd be a good time. Meatball Molly. Oh, they must be doing it in England. That's why. Meatball Molly, Leon Edwards. Who else? Trying to see who else on the card was from England, from Britain. But yeah, no, that's a pretty good card. I'll definitely be watching Fight Night 254. I won't be watching the prelims. I don't see anybody on the prelims that I want to watch, but it starts at noon. Yeah, I don't want to watch fighting at noon on a Saturday. But yeah, we could do 3. That'd be fun. Fights be over by dinner time. That'd be a good day. Yeah, they're running fights this weekend in it looks like somewhere in the UK. So they're gonna be starting at 3 p.m. instead of the usual like 9 p.m. my time.
Cool.
Nice 6-hour difference where I can get all the fights done before dinner time.
I don't even remember the last time I watched a fight.
No?
Been a long time.
What kind of fights do you like to watch when you do? Were you into boxing or were you into like the UFC more? That was less what you watched.
When I was into it, we didn't have UFC.
No?
So I was watching
Like,
wrestling. Love good wrestling. Boxing for sure. I grew up watching boxing on the TV.
you talking like you haven't watched it since like the internet?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Wow. It's a long time ago to watch fights. But back when they were on TV and stuff, I mean, I know a lot of people that watched Ali fights and stuff on TV rather than seeing them on the internet, of course.
And the Olympic wrestling.
Oh,
we
yeah.
talked about that before. You know, I loved watching the Greco-Roman wrestling and stuff like that.
I don't know how many times I went back and watched like old Dan Gable wrestling films or something like that. There's some good Olympic competitions.
Oh, even the fake wrestling, watching Hulk Hogan and those guys back then, you know.
Oh yeah, can't go wrong with the wrestling.
Yeah,
It was entertaining.
that was very entertaining. I guess it still is, but I couldn't tell you.
But if they've had that like that pride fighting and that Japanese fighting and stuff out there forever, like long before the UFC.
Yeah.
And they had like the mixture of professional wrestling and basically real fighting that they used to do out there, and half of it was ran by the Yakuza. So they had their mob money in it, and they were just paying wild fights to happen. They had like killers in charge of all that stuff. It was wild.
Do what
I
you
just remember I remember Dan Severin going out there and talking about some of the horror stories that they used to have to deal with, and yeah, some of them would. There was one match where him and this other guy just grabbed each other by the collar. Him and this giant Japanese man. and they just grabbed each other by the collar and just kept punching each other in the face until the end of it. It was so weird. Gonzo said, "Let me tell you something, brother." Dan Severin's fucking wild. That mustache. That mustache for days.
Now, once I was no longer interested in doing that kind of thing, I don't watch it anymore. It goes for all sports.
Yeah.
I don't watch sports anymore because I'm not interested in doing it.
There's very few sports I actually watched. I don't like watching sports. Like
I don't know.
watching
Gymnastics is still pretty freaking cool. Even though I can't do it anymore, it's still pretty freaking cool what they're doing now compared to what we did then.
But that makes a lot of sense to me, though. Like a sport like gymnastics or a sport like fighting are sports I would watch because it's something I wouldn't do. Like if I was in wrestling, I wouldn't want to watch wrestling. Like
Right.
I would just want to go out and wrestle or participate in it. Like it's weird to watch a sport that you want to participate in. To me,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a strange habit.
I'd rather be doing it than watching it. And
Yeah,
that
but if you can't do it, it makes
sports.
But yeah, if you can't do it, it makes a lot of sense that you'd want to watch it.
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, I played a lot of sports, and most of them I don't even care to watch anymore. I've already been there, done that.
Yeah.
The UFC and stuff like that, I wish they had that back when I was young enough to do it.
It's just like I feel like that about football. It's like what am I possibly going to see that's new in football that's changed since when I was there? What, a guy runs faster?
Fantasy football. The
You know what I
gambling.
mean? It's just
My brothers still watch football. I used to watch football. I never really liked playing regular football. I like playing scrap ball, backyard football, having fun, drinking beers, doing all that kind of stuff, embarrassing all these guys twice my size and stuff like that.
yeah.
That was fun. But I never once wanted to put that gear on and go out and do it.
Oh yeah, no, we did that. I got to play with actual professional, guys that are in the NFL. There were in the NFL. And that's what we were doing, just backyard games. And we had a bunch of wrestlers and football players, put them together, no pads or anything. That's why my nose is crooked, is because a running back for who was behind LaDainian Tomlinson. What team was he for? The Falcons, I think. Yeah, he was a backup running back on the Falcons. Broke my nose.
I was a track runner. I ran track.
Michael Turner.
And they
Michael
hated
Turner.
me on the football field, man. Oof. Some guy can move fast.
I don't know if you have good spatial awareness, I feel like it doesn't really matter how fast somebody is. It takes me two plays to cut off an angle if you have good players. But yeah, what scared me is a running back that knew how to put his weight into it and run. Like that's what scared me because I was a wrestler.
You can't stop a rhino on the move, man.
Exactly. If he just keeps pumping his legs, yeah, it doesn't matter if you take out his legs.
Nope. He's gonna just keep going right over the top of you. I had many football players I played with playing scrap ball. Finally, the coach banned them from playing with us. For some reason, I think I took out a star quarterback.
I was gonna say they were probably getting hurt.
I was like, yeah, we got no gear. We're not even wearing cleats. We're wearing tennis shoes, you know?
Well, we used to do that at the dorms at wrestling camp. We had you could probably fit about two big wrestlers shoulder to shoulder in a dorm. And so what we did is we used to do these drills called Oklahomas in football, where you'd have like two linemen, one running back, and one I guess you'd call him a linebacker. So it's like a 3-on-3, and linebacker and the guy running the ball that started with the ball, they'd start on their back, and then they just turn over, and then they had to cross their two linemen that they had in front of us, and we were doing this in a hallway. I had at a wrestling camp. Oh gosh, that was so fun. You had these guys just diving over linemen trying to make it, and just collisions in the air, no pads on. Just kids being stupid.
Yeah. Did
Bunch
a
of
lot of that.
16-year-olds. Yeah, a bunch of 16-year-olds basically in a hotel by themselves with one counselor that's probably only 3 years older than them at the end of the hall. That's supposed to be watching all of them.
Yeah, when I first started doing that, I was in middle school, taking out varsity players on the football team in high school, you know.
You're a big
They're
boy
like-
then.
They're like, no, you're too fast. And I was like, well, if you can't stop me on the line, the quarterback's going down.
Right.
And I used to laugh at them about it because I just blow right by them.
Oh yeah, if the lineman can't get up fast enough.
They would always get me back later on, gang up on me and smear me into a mud puddle or something like that, you know.
I say you make a lineman look bad long enough, when the ball switches hands, all of a sudden they start letting people through. You don't want to make your lineman look bad.
I was nose guard.
Oh, were you? A quick nose guard then.
6th grade nose guard, taking out, high schoolers. Just embarrassing them because I was so quick. Yeah, they get tired of that stuff real quick. Yeah, their coach came to me so many times trying to get me to go out and be a running back or, outside lineman. And I'm like, no, I'm not playing football for you. Come on, I do this for fun. You guys want me to practice. I don't want to practice. I want to come out and play.
Right. I don't want this organized chaos where you just make me run for half the practice.
Yeah. In pads and a helmet. Come on. I don't want to wear that crap either. Slows me down.
I also think you get a different type of player when you're playing people in pads, because people, I don't know, they almost have that childlike invincibility characteristic when they're in pads and stuff. They feel like they're almost invincible, and they'll throw themselves at people a little bit more. They feel a little bit safer than they actually are. So you'll get a lot more wild interactions of how to take somebody down when they're throwing their body at you because they got shoulder pads on,
I think it was my freshman year in high school. Our team took on the varsity team and absolutely whooped them, embarrassed them. That's when the coach said no more for the varsity team.
Damn.
Because they couldn't even compete with us scrappers,
Yeah, no thanks.
And we were mostly smaller people. I mean, I wasn't at that point, but most of our team was smaller people that never played football in their life except for scrap ball.
I always thought that was a fun time when they did wrestling as a PE class every once in a while. Like do like 2 or 3 weeks of wrestling, and then like you'd end up with some kids in there that had never done it before in their lives, and then you get put in with some kid that's been wrestling for 10 years or something like that. Gosh, that was always so much fun.
I was never a good grappler.
That was where I'd love to wrestle with coaches and stuff or something like that. It's because you could just make people look silly. Like I went in my freshman year and was challenging seniors. That was my favorite thing to do. That's what's cool about grappling is it's one of those things where your size didn't matter, because I wasn't a big kid.
Yeah,
I didn't.
It
I wasn't
don't matter.
I wasn't going to take out
half my size. Fold me up into knots.
Oh yeah, but I just remember the football players in pads. If a senior was running at me full speed, it didn't really matter. It didn't really matter how big I was.
They used to hate me because I was in gymnastics.
Oh yeah.
And
good football players take gymnastics.
I took aerobics. I took You know, I did everything.
Especially running backs and wide receivers, because you want to have good balance. It's great for football.
Well, you get a hit and you just land on your feet. Come on, you know.
Oh yeah, that's a bonus too.
It is.
Yeah. You know, I took gymnastics when I was younger. I used to do a lot of beams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Guys
yeah,
used
my
to
mom.
hate me in baseball because I just jump over them.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Do just a basic front flip right over the top of them. I was like, yep, I landed on the plate. You didn't tag me. Well, I did long jump, triple jump in track, along with the running stuff. And I threw the javelin, which, I took state in the javelin throw.
And say I would have taken you out.
Country boy, man, I can throw.
I would say prime me and prime you. I would have done frisbee or discus or shot put with you. Those are the only two I did in track and field.
I never could throw that damn shot put.
No?
No, I'm pretty good at the discus because it was
I don't really think
angle and effect, but
I never really got good at the whole swing part of the shot put, like when you do a circle and put it out. I never really mastered that.
I had the
getting
strength.
momentum
I could
right.
probably stand there and just throw that thing further than I could doing the maneuvers.
Yeah, exactly.
I did
kind of how I felt.
I did the javelin in a one state competition. I walked up to the line, my first throw, threw that sucker. About 10 of the competitors dropped out because I threw further than they could imagine. But
The
I couldn't
discus-
throw. They didn't understand. I couldn't throw that javelin any faster running with it.
The discus swinging makes sense to me. Same with the javelin release. Like all of those releases make sense to me.
The shot put was just weird.
Yeah, it felt like it was almost counterintuitive because swinging something that's that close to your body and just understanding how the center of gravity works, it's not really helping me.
No. I got better odds of hanging that thing out here in my arm and going around for one round and just letting her whip.
Exactly.
But that wasn't the move.
Right.
Discus
understood
was
it.
fun. The discus was fun. That thing can fly.
Oh yeah. If you get good at that, that was the way to do it. Because anything weighted, I didn't mind throwing anything weighted.
My
That seemed
school
like a good competition.
did not have a javelin big enough for my throw.
What do you mean?
Maxed out at like 185 or something like that was the javelin max, and I could do that standing still.
So, do you have to put a lot of arc on a javelin?
Depending on the javelin I was using, I did borrow a guy's.
How much is an average? How much do you think a javelin weighs?
God, not much.
No.
It's
Like you're talking-
aerodynamics.
Like you're talking less than 7 pounds, or
Oh yeah, at least.
okay.
Yeah, that one's based on aerodynamics, a little bit of the weight factor on the travel distance.
I always remember the scene from Revenge of the Nerds where he designs his own javelin that's got a bend in the middle. Yeah. I'm now going to picture that every time you tell me you throw javelin.
Mine weren't that flexible.
No, he was a master in aerodynamics. He had to
Yeah,
he had to make it better.
that was pretty funny.
It was better for his limp-wristed throw.
Damnedest style of running, the whole works, and it worked for the movie.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was the best. That was the best movie scene probably for like a 10-year period out there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Little old me.
Because he wasn't even running. He was doing that old dance, That thing is just wobbling like crazy.
That's a good one, JP. Little old me, Lamar.
Lamar,
Now
yeah.
rocked into the beat. Fucking Booger and all them boys.
Oh yeah. God, it's been a long time since I've seen any of those movies.
Yeah, the old classics. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with the Revenge of the Nerds.
No. No, that was pretty fun.
Lambda Lambda and the Moose.
Oh.
But yeah, I actually got to wrap up. It's probably getting a little late on my end.
Yeah, we're at 3 hours.
Yeah, that's more than enough. I appreciate you coming on, man. Glad you actually got the free time.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't sure if it was going to happen or not because we had to unload all of our crates. And tomorrow I got to go out and start going through everything. I haven't seen most of the stuff in 4 years. Omega moves.
Yeah, those are big girls. That's some real big girls. Some large women. And Booger wanted every piece of it. He was happy to have. He's happy to have those big girls, those Amazon women. I don't even know where you find girls like that for a movie. Some big women.
I never went to college, so I don't know.
I don't know. Most of the movies I saw about college girls, they didn't all look like the Omega moves. Most of them looked a little different in the college movies.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I went to college a lot, but I wasn't there for school.
Yeah, true. I grew up in a college town, so I definitely went to a lot of college parties.
I had to travel a bit of a distance to have the parties, but it was fun.
Oh yeah, no, they were in our town. It was weird. You get used to it, but you kind of get burnt out. By high school, you're like, I don't really feel like going to college parties anymore. This is getting kind of old and it's weird.
Oh, in high school, we're just going out in the woods to have a kegger.
Exactly. Find a cornfield or
we didn't have those.
Somewhere you won't get.
We had trees.
Just somewhere you won't be found by the local cops. Yeah. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in, and yeah, we'll check you next time.
Yep. Hopefully, we'll see you next week. Everybody be well.
Yep. Have a good one, everybody. Let me see. Do this one. I don't even have anything set up. I can't even do outros. All right, we'll do